is nothing quite like this place anywhere in the motorsports world. It is the amazing Barber Motorsports Park, the Augusta of motor racing facilities in Birmingham, Alabama. The attention to detail here, the creativity has to be seen to be believed, and there is the 200,000 plus square foot multi-story Barber Motorsports Park Vintage Motorsports Museum, and then you can just sit under those big Georgia pines and relax. However, on this side of the fence, things aren't quite so relaxed as we gear up for the 90-lap Indy Grand Prix, or Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And there is a fascinating story on the front row, and to tell us more about that, here's Kevin Lee.
Oh, Diff, yesterday everything was shaken up in qualifying. Graham Rahal has consistently raced well and has always said if we can just qualify better and get a better start, we really can compete for a championship. And he and his teammate on the front row, Takuma Sato, even better, wins his first pole ever on a natural terrain road course. Graham Rahal didn't start in the front two rows all of last year and started ninth or worse 13 times. Sato said they've made massive improvements since last year and both feel like they can win today, Marty.
Well, Kevin, since the first race here at Barber Motorsports Park back in 2010, this has been Team Penske's personal playground. Simon Pagenaud's won here. Joseph Newgarden has won here. Will Power has won here. They have been so successful here at Barber Motorsports Park, in fact, winning 6 of the 9 races and leading the most laps in the last 3 races here. But this weekend, it's been a struggle for Team Penske. They have been searching for speed. Today, they will start 7th, 14th, and 16th. The last time they didn't put a car in the Firestone Fast 6, 5 years ago at Long Beach. Today they made improvements in morning warm-up and their pit strategies that could be all across the board today. That could favor Team Penske. So it's not over for them yet, but they certainly have some ground to make up, Kelly Stavist.
Well, Marty, about the only consistent thing we've seen this weekend is James Hinchcliffe at the top of the timesheets. The Canadian was fastest in 2 of the 3 practice sessions. He qualified 4th, which he told me was a disappointment because he felt like he had a car fast enough to be on the pole. Well, this morning he told me that warm-up was a little bit trickier. The track seems to have changed quite a bit after heavy rains overnight, so he's hopeful that some more rubber will get laid down and they'll be back to finding the speed that they have shown all weekend in the aero vehicle. James Hinchcliffe looking to build on a podium finish here from last year.
Well, Kelly, the good thing about Scott Dixon is he's a 5-time champion. He's got 44 victories. That's number 3 all-time in IndyCar. He's won at 22 different racetracks. Think of that, 44 wins, 22 tracks. 5 times at Mid-Ohio, 4 times at Watkins Glen, but never at Barber Motorsports Park. 5 times he's finished 2nd. He's really tired of answering this question, when are you going to win a race? He starts 4th today, and he said, if I don't win today, don't come ask me what happened. Sorry, 3rd. He starts 3rd today. I'm standing right in front of his car and don't know. That's really sad. Okay, Mr. Diffie.
Robin, thanks very much, and that's obviously one of the storylines we will be following today. Hi, folks. Lee Diffie along with Paul Tracy and Townsend Bell. Let's get to those other stories, and Marty kicked it off with Team Penske not making the Firestone Fast 6, nor did Andretti Autosport. We'll get to that in a moment, but this is a very different-looking weekend for Team Penske.
It is. You heard the statistics from Marty. Their worst road course start in 5 years, and they've won 6 out of 9 times here. That means that you have championship-caliber drivers frustrated, irritable, and ready to charge. And I think that's going to make for a great race, because when those experienced drivers that think they deserve to be at the front are not, and then you've got young guys and smaller teams that think this is their big chance, that's going to lead to fireworks all throughout this race.
So if I'm a viewer at home, Paul, and I say, okay, no Team Penske in the Firestone Fast 6 yesterday, nor Andretti Autosport, what's going on?
Well, it's kind of a different scenario for Andretti because they've had speed this weekend, but they just didn't get the qualifying right, whereas Penske has really had no speed all weekend other than Will Power threw in a solid lap to get into the Fast 12. But I think the Andretti guys are pretty good.
So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, yep. So Alexander Rossi, the best, just outside the Firestone Fast 6. He'll start on the 4th row in 8th position. It is going to be a long, hot, hard day's work today in Alabama. The Honda Indy Grand Prix is coming up when we return. There is nothing quite like this in the motor racing world. It is the spectacular Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, and it has to be seen to be believed. This place is amazing. The creativity, the thought that went into this place, and then you have the multi-story, more than 200,000 square foot Barber Vintage Museum. It's incredible. If you want to be a bit more chilled and relaxed, you can sit under those big Georgia pines and watch what's happening on track. It is just a beautiful setting and a great place for the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. However, on the other side of the track, things are a little more serious, and there is an amazing and entertaining story all about the front row of today's race. And with more on that, here's Kevin Lee. Kev?
Oh, we had a big shakeup yesterday in qualifying diff, and we're seeing some different competitors on the front row. Graham Rahal has always said, we race well, but if we could just qualify well, we can compete for a championship. He's going to start second, and Takuma Sato yesterday won his first ever pole on a road course, and Sato said, we can win the race. Graham also feels like they have an excellent chance today. Marty?
Well, Kevin, since the first race here at Barber Motorsports Park in 2010, this has been Team Penske's personal playground. In fact, they have won 6 of the last 9 races here, including 3 straight with names like Helio Castroneves, who won the first race here. Will Powers won a couple of times here. Simon Pagenaud has been to victory lane as well. And Joseph Newgarden, at what he considers his home racetrack, has won 3 of the last 4 races here. But this weekend for Team Penske, it's been a completely different story. In fact, they will start today 7th, 14th, and 16th. For the first time in 5 years, they did not put a car in the Firestone Fast 6, but a couple of things in their favor this afternoon. They made improvements to their cars in warm-up this morning. We saw that. And number 2, we expect strategy to be all over the map today, and that certainly opens up the window to be able to start in the back like these guys will today, Kelly Stavis, and make it to the front.
Well, Marty, about the only consistent thing we've seen this weekend is James Hinchcliffe at the top of the timesheets. The Canadian was fastest in 2 of the 3 practice sessions. Then he qualified 4th, which he told me was a disappointment because he felt like he had a car capable of winning the pole. Well, after morning warm-up today, he told me things got a little bit trickier. The track seems to have changed after heavy rains overnight, but he's optimistic that once more rubber is laid back down, they'll get back to showing all that speed that they've had in this Aerosmith Peterson machine all weekend. Robin Miller.
All right, Kelly, we know Scott Dixon's a 5-time IndyCar champ. He's got 44 wins, 3rd on the all-time list behind A.J. Voigt and Mario Andretti. He's won at 22 different tracks. However, he's not won at Barber Motorsports Park. Think about that. He's won at 22 places, not here. He's finished 2nd 5 times. Today he starts 3rd, Lee Diffie, and he said, if I don't get it done today, don't come asking me about 2nd place.
Oh, Robin, it's one of those annual stories, isn't it? And we'll continue to follow that one here today. Hi, folks. Welcome along to round 3 of the NTT INDYCAR Series for 2019. Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell. The drivers, the teams, everybody here describing this weekend as weird for the amount of red flags, for the threatening weather, just for the kind of stop-start nature this weekend. And then, to follow on from Marty, no Penske's in the Firestone Fast 6 in qualifying, no Andretti's. We'll get to that in a moment. But it's just been odd, hasn't it?
It has been odd. And for Team Penske, no other track, I think, delivers expectations, say for maybe Indianapolis, than Barber Motorsports Park. You heard the stats from Marty Snyder. They've won 6 out of the last 9. So when you come here as a Team Penske driver, you expect to be at the front, and they are not today. And with expectation, potentially comes aggravation for these champion drivers at Team Penske. They're among the highest paid in the series. And they're going to get frustrated early if they're not able to get to the front. And for the small teams and the young drivers, some of these rookies we've had, watch out, because those guys think they belong at the front too. That can lead to some fireworks.
We are just as surprised as you are at home because it's bizarre and it's been uncanny. It doesn't happen. What's going on?
Well, on the other flip of the coin, the Andretti guys have been fast. Their cars have been pretty quick this weekend, but they struggled in qualifying, and Rossi's way back next to power. But I just don't think the Penske's this weekend, they've been nowhere all weekend, and I just don't think they've worked themselves out of the hole. I think Andretti might have a good day, though.
The rookies have been looking good. The smaller teams and less famous drivers have been looking good. Is it going to be one of those days? There's 90 laps around Barber Motorsports Park to give us that answer, and we get going when we come back.
Did that just happen?
You don't have a lot of time in IndyCar if you're not performing.
A start is on the rise.
You need to perform right away.
2 weeks ago in Austin, 18-year-old Colton Herta became the youngest race winner in IndyCar history.
I've been bit by the bug now. I think 1 race win isn't enough.
Today, Colton and 22 other drivers will measure themselves against Joseph Newgarden over the rolling hills of Barber Motorsports Park. a track where Newgarden has won 3 of the last 4 races. He's done it again at Barber!
We can do the whole series at Barber, that'd be great.
Can the current points leader make it 3 in a row in Alabama in round 3 of the NTT INDYCAR Series? Tenth year for the NTT INDYCAR Series, coming to this beautiful motor racing venue, Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama, for the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And on this special occasion, there's a very special person to give the command.
Alabama race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Here to give the command, please welcome today's Grand Marshal, 4-time IndyCar champion, world champion, 1969 Indianapolis 500 winner, and International Motorsports Hall of Famer, the legend, Mario Andretti.
Drivers, start your engines!
For the first time since 2005, the Rahal team on the front row. Takuma Sato here, and there is Graham Rahal. In fact, it's such a big deal that the co-boss man, David Letterman, made a last-second trip to come to Barber this weekend. Graham Rahal said, listen, I wanted to qualify better. You heard Kevin mention that, but he told me after warm-up, they made my race car better. Very good shot for Rahal to pull off the win today, Kevin.
Marty, the front row is normally where we find Will Power. 8 of the 9 times here, both times in 2019, but he hasn't had the luck. He's got a car, though, that can win. Remember, he won from 9th here in 2012. Kelly?
Now, life has been a whirlwind for rookie Colton Herta since becoming IndyCar's youngest ever race winner just 2 weeks ago. Most notably, he celebrated his 19th birthday. The kid from SoCal said now that he knows what it feels like to win an IndyCar race, he wants to win them all. He's got more fire in his belly than ever before, which could spell trouble for his competition. He rolls off 9th today, Lee.
Kelly, thanks. And weather is on our side for the time being for today's Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, which is terrific. Speaking of Honda, there is the Honda 2-seater. Ari Leindyke Jr., by the way, is behind the wheel. And that's Sarah Greenwood. Yes, YouTube's Sarah and Tune having quite the ride. How is it, Sarah?
The braking is insane. My head keeps bouncing back and forth up on the side of the car. Oh my God, it's so hard to talk.
I think that's probably one of the more dramatic ones we've seen, but enjoy the ride, Sarah, and thanks for coming along, and Ari Leindyke Jr. will give you a good ride along for sure as we now take a look at the Honda starting grid. Takuma Sato, boy, he was overjoyed. He was pumped yesterday to get that NTT P1 award.
And for Rahal, that team, 21 years since a rotor street circuit that they've locked out the front row. That was Brian Herta and Bobby Rahal back in 1998 at Long Beach, and Paul further back, some big names looking to make things happen early.
Will Power further back than he's ever been. And Alexander Rossi, Mr. Excitement, watch the moves he's going to make. But look at these Penske guys way in the back here.
I look at row 9, Rosenquist and O'Ward, 2 young, hard-charging rookies that have proven great racecraft, but it's going to be tough to make it happen from way back there.
It's an eclectic grid, to say the least. It has been a wild weekend. Take a look at this, folks. Off-track excursions have been the theme, including our pole sitter, Takuma Sato.
Takuma Sato sort of slices the ski pole there, big rail slide, and this was Hinchcliffe into the final corner, at least the qualifying final corner, and then Colton Herta hits the gravel hard, was able to continue. Some other drivers not quite as lucky.
We had some rain before the first practice of the weekend, so the track was in tricky conditions for the first couple sessions. And look at this, another car off there, Erickson into the wall. But we had a massive rainstorm last night, and we've had some different cars on the track this morning, some GT cars. So the conditions and the rubber are going to be much different than they've had all weekend.
Problem is, when you pick up all that gravel, you have to get it out of the car somehow. It gets stuck in the floor. That's Zach Veach again having issues. He'll start at the very back today and try to figure out how to settle into a groove. It's been a difficult first couple of races for Veach.
This is a real key point on the track. This is known as Museum Turn. Downhill, pretty sharp downhill, before they wind it back up and head around the backside past the museum there. So you'll see a bit of action there this afternoon, that is for sure. We've got great variety for you here today as well, with 8 onboards in total, and we will go to those regularly. Graham Rahal, by the way, carrying the helmet cam. Look forward to that. He starts on the front row. Santino Ferrucci also mid-left there. He's carrying another helmet cam. So we will show you a variety of shots, including the nose cam, top, front, center. Lots today across the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. This place has hosted motorcycles, sports cars, a variety of racing series, but it's 10 years now for the NTT INDYCAR Series, and there's been so many great races, but it has been Penske dominated. Well, one of the 3 Team Penske drivers, Joseph Newgarden, the championship leader, is buried in the field. He's trying to win 3 in a row. If he can do it from way back there, it's going to be quite the miracle. Takuma Sato and teammate Graham Rahal on the front row. As soon as they see green, they can go. Will it be Sato? Will it be Rahal? Several cars jumping out of line.
That's a late start, really late start. A lot of guys were locking up in the back. You saw the smoke, Townsend. Look at these guys locking up into turn 1.
Well, scramble, wheels off, rejoining. That's Ferrucci there. They did very, very well to miss themselves. Teammates beside each other. That is Joseph Newgarden and Simon Pagenaud.
Scott Dixon looked inside Graham Rahal, backed out in turn 1. Let's see what happens. Big break zone, best passing opportunity right here.
Look at the blue car, Felix Rosenquist down the inside. He's trying to make up ground in his first race here at Barber.
3 wide through the hairpin, 4 wide in the braking zone. Sato checking out a little bit. Rossi looking good right there. Didn't lose any position, but that was a wild start. Very slow start.
Sebastian Bourdais got around the outside of Spencer Piggott with a nice move going into the museum corner. We've seen that lead to contact many times in the past. Bourdais now trying to catch the back of Rossi.
Pato and Erickson were side by side. Rosenquist, sorry. They were side by side going into the chicane.
Up front, Takuma Sato checking out right now with a nice gap over Rahal, and Dixon all over the back of Rahal.
Word from race control is that start is under review. You saw people pulling out of line. They were locked wheels. It was a little bit frantic.
Overtaking allowed, but apparently it's not working right now. IndyCar is working on a solution.
Not quite sure what the issue is. It sounds like some sort of series issue there, perhaps.
We got a couple of weepers in turn 1. It looks like water coming out of the track, Townsend, in the brake zone that I saw in that camera angle. So we'll get a look at that as Dixon slides down the inside, and that was close.
And that also happened in the very first corner between Dixon and Rahal. Dixon backed out. He did it again there in 5, and this is Colton Hurd and Will Power wheel to wheel.
Power got the inside move there on the most recent winner in the championship 2 weeks ago at Circuit of the Americas. Bourdais has had a promising start. We'll keep an eye on him. Dixon has been very patient, trying to get by this man here, the 1Q Honda of Graham Rahal. This is from Zach Veach, and this is the replay of the start. Coming to turn 17, check this out.
That was a big jump start, Townsend. Passed
Ed
about
Jones,
10 cars.
We're told we'll get a drive-through penalty for this.
Yeah.
Now, I know it, listen, hang on. Before we jump in on Ed Jones, I know it looks blatant. However, the question is, when did green flag get called? Now, you're not supposed to advance on the row in front of you, though, before the start-finish on the start.
Right.
You can do that on the restart. You cannot do that on the start. And I don't think Ed Jones, well, he's about to find that out.
Well, excuse me, I'm coming through.
Veach was going to follow him through and decided against it, so he just timed that all wrong. He just went for it, and that was a really slow start. Pagenaud nearly gets into the back of that car in front of him. Oh, sideways coming off the corner. Pato Award.
I think that's Rosenquist, and that's Matthias Leist, I believe, in the ABC, the red, white, and blue car for AJ Foyt Racing. Rosenquist showed such great racecraft at St. Petersburg, the season opener. Struggled in qualifying, so he's trying to figure out how to get himself forward and into clean air. It's got to be tough buried deep in the pack right now.
Here's Santino Ferrucci, that chrome David Yerman car trying to work on. We go on board. Let's have a ride.
Try to shoot up the inside there. You kind of let a guy hang out on the outside, and once the tires wear, Townsend, if you got pushed through there and your balance is good, you can kind of just squirt it up the inside of the guy and block pass him.
Marco sort of left the door open. I'll tell you, somebody that's very good at making a move in that corner is Joseph Newgarden. I'll be watching him today to see if he sneaks inside people in that last right-hander. This is early on. This is the start. We're on board with Rosenquist. Little love tap into the back of Lace. Almost another one. There goes Ed Jones.
Will Power thought about pulling out of the line there too, so that was kind of a, this is Santino Ferrucci's view.
Lucky he didn't go off the edge of, he is off the edge of the track, so he was lucky to get damage on the front wheel or break the front wing, and went off at turn 1 on the exit.
That was the right rear of Colton Herta. Making some contact there.
Somebody we haven't spoken about yet is the Arrow Schmidt Peterson Honda of James Hinchcliffe. Has been very consistent and quick all weekend. Here we go on board the Lucas Oil view of
Do you feel like those guys in front are saving fuel? I think so.
So the question put to James there was, do you think the guys in front are saving fuel? The big discussion here is 3 stops or 2, and we'll know that answer very soon on who's deciding to go for a 3-stop strategy. Marty, what you got?
Hey guys, this is one of those races that just feels like it sets up to pay off for experience. Certainly Scott Dixon has that, but he's not very happy with the guy right in front of him, Graham Rahal, about what happened on the start. Take a listen on the radio.
You guys running me off the track everywhere.
And he said that twice. He actually asked the timing stand to tell IndyCar, review both of those incidents from Graham Rahal. He felt like he ran him off the track. Townsend, it's absolutely furious at the start of this race, isn't it? Because that's one of your few passing opportunities right at the green flag.
Yeah, for sure. You know, at first glance, I didn't think that Graham was doing anything that would put himself under review for any kind of blocking penalty. I didn't feel like Dixon was up alongside enough.
No quarter given here in IndyCar. This is a track where it's hard to pass on.
Word from race control is the Rahal-Dixon situation is under review. We'll have more in a moment.
That's what I talked about, you know, at the open of the race, is you get guys like Dixon, the Penske drivers, and they're going to be feeling very soon here, if not already, hey, I belong at the front. Get out of my way. I'm coming through. And none of the drivers in this field could care less. Everybody's driving their own race. Everybody needs a result. You're only as good as your last race, and for many of these drivers, this is a big chance today for guys like Graham Rahal and Takuma Sato to make the magic happen.
All right, we need to squeeze in a quick break here. We're going to show you what happened between Scott Dixon, Graham Rahal, and we've already had an answer from race control. No action taken. Look to the left there. Back to Barber in a moment. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT INDYCAR Series, and by OneCure.com. Join us as we race to cure cancer in our best friends and ourselves.
Joseph Newgarden is one of those to make the early play, so it's a 3-stop strategy for Joseph Newgarden, and it's a very quick stop. He told me they had plenty of strategies. It would depend how the race played out, but starting in 16th, he wants to get in early and hoping for a caution to be able to cycle up.
It's not often when you see the championship leader and his peers and colleagues at Team Penske just doing a lot of head scratching and furrowed brows, and it's been like that all weekend long for the man who is trying to win 3 years in succession and 4 in total. His home race, will it pan out for him? If it does, it's going to make for quite the story. But up front, Takuma Sato, the 42-year-old former F1 driver, is leading and leading well. And there's a special note to that too for Takuma, because this is the place where he did his very first IndyCar test some 9 years ago, and he remembers that fondly.
He's got a nice gap as we see Ferrucci coming. He's got a 1.8-second gap, Kevin.
Santino Ferrucci, also one of those coming in early. He started mid-pack, so not as far back as some of the others. He's going to change to sticker reds this time. Ferrucci, pretty solid pit stop. Marty?
Lap 9, and Kevin, we've already seen 5 drivers, now 6 and 7 drivers come down pit road, including Felix Rosenqvist. They felt like they were losing time by kind of sitting in traffic where they were. We'll see who he blends out with Joseph Newgarden. But Townsend, these windows today are wide open. That makes the race very dynamic. It also means you can jump people on pit road by when you pit,
Marty,
and what tires you
these
take.
4 cars on the same strategy. Battle right now for position on the same strategy. Ferrucci on cold tires. There's Marcus Erickson around the outside. This could get dicey.
2 guys in their very first race in an IndyCar at Barber Motorsports Park. Good stuff.
Tires are in pretty fast, Townsend, because Ferrucci was up to speed pretty quick. Didn't lose a lot of time. But the guy who's been making moves as we see Power come in, Rossi is now up to 5th.
You want any wing or anything? Sounds good. Those are good times. That's a good time.
Here comes Colton Herta, the man who became the youngest winner in IndyCar history at COTA a couple of weeks ago. Will Power also on pit road. Sticker for alternate tires for Colton Herta, a big wing adjustment. You heard the conversation a moment ago between Roger Penske and Will Power. It was scuffed red tires for Will Power. They said, do you want a wing adjustment? He said no. The car is really good, and Power with a fantastic stop. We'll see if it gains him any track position.
Going to be a battle here with Newgarden now chasing down Colton Herta on hot tires. I think the tires, Townsend, are pretty much close to up by the time they get to turn 5 here.
Track temperature right at about 100 degrees. So if Colton Herta can hang on right there, a little bit of understeer. Newgarden not quite close enough to make a move. But these are cars battling on the same strategy.
Same strategy, and Colton Herta started 9th. Newgarden started 16th.
He's going to get a run here. Colton Herta pushed a little bit wide. Push to pass is on.
Hey guys, remember in qualifying, Colton Herta said the motor kind of died coming up the hill on his final qualifying lap. Well, guess what? It is not remedied, and there he loses the spot to Joseph Newgarden. But Colton Herta saying the engine is not any better. They have a miss in the engine, and you see Simon Pagenaud coming in. So Colton Herta, the winner at COTA 2 weeks ago, having an early engine issue here at Barber.
This will be interesting to watch Pagenaud now come out and join the battle of the 3-stoppers. All these on the same strategy. Can Pagenaud beat anybody out of turn 1? We're about to find out.
Well, he's going to be with Rosenqvist, who's back there just at the straightaway. Here he comes through turn 1. So Ferrucci beat him out easily.
This first stint is working beautifully for Joseph Newgarden, the championship leader. Meanwhile, Sato, Rahal, Dixon, Hinchcliffe, look at that, Marcus Erickson.
On Colton Herta tries to square him up. They almost had contact.
And for Colton, it's unfortunate. Marty had a great report there. You can see it from our helicopter, clearly struggling for top speed with some kind of issue. As he accelerates here, he'll pull through the gears. Now Hunter-Reay comes in. Another 3-stopper.
Hey, no front wing, sticker reds.
We talked about wide windows. You hear the conversation between Ray Gosselin and Ryan Hunter-Reay. The first stops were at lap 6. This is at lap 12, and half the field hasn't even pitted yet. Those are wide windows, everyone. Ryan Hunter-Reay said he wanted no wing adjustments. It's sticker red tires for Hunter-Reay. That'll take care of that obligation for them. They have struggled on the red tires. We'll see how it goes for him here. You saw Will Power flash by Hunter-Reay, and a little battle there coming up, Lee.
Oh, this is good. Joseph Newgarden, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay working those temperatures up. Meanwhile, Joseph Newgarden in full race mode. Bye-bye.
Newgarden with the slide job right across the bow. And you can see, Paul, at pit exit, you see that kick of water from the weepers?
There's weepers in turn 1 in the brake zone and a big one on the pit exit, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. So it rained really hard last night. You see there at the pit exit, and if we go to a wide shot down the front straightaway, you'll see the weepers on the front straightaway in the brake zone. So that could get tricky if it continues to keep the water coming out onto the track. Right there, look at those weepers. They've gotten bigger and bigger.
This is Ryan Hunter-Reay exiting pit road. Little splash here, and look to the left, Joseph Newgarden. This opening stanza of the race is really going well for Newgarden. Ferrucci, and then fellow rookie Colton Herta. Then Simon Pagenaud having to work hard after his first stop.
And another rookie in that light blue car way in the back. That's Rosenquist also coming. So this is going to be a fun battle to see how this plays out. All of these guys committed to the 3-stop strategy. And if you're a 2-stopper, you're going to have to get right to about lap 28, 29 to make a 2-stop work.
Page has a run. Colton Herter ran way wide. I don't know what's going on, but he's got no top speed. He's been passed down the straightaway. He ran really wide coming onto the corner and then just lost all the top speed, Marty.
The engine issue getting worse, Paul. He said it's getting worse every lap. He said, guys, you got to give me some information. Let me know what I can be doing in here to maybe help this. Brian Barnhart radioed back, said, there's nothing you can do, bud. Let's just hang in there. We don't show that it's that bad, but obviously he feels it's that bad. How helpless is that behind the wheel, Townsend?
Well, there's been no secret. Honda's had some issues this year, Lee.
We'll continue to monitor that with Colton Herter. Meanwhile, race leader is Takuma Sato, 2.5 seconds out in front. Is he going to add a different track to his win list in an enjoyable IndyCar career? Quick reminder that you can get even more IndyCar with the new NBC Sports Gold IndyCar Pass, where you can watch every qualifying and practice session live and on demand. Visit NBCSports.com/IndyCar right now. We know so many of you have already taken advantage of that as we welcome you back to Birmingham, Alabama. Kev, race leader Takuma Sato in.
So there are still some, even running up front, that I think are thinking about doing it on 2 stops. It was clear that Takuma Sato was not. He was told he can use push to pass. Look at the big turn of front wing as he goes from red to primary black Firestones, but a much longer stop. Slow stop, the left rear a little late getting going, so this is going to really open it up for Ray Hall, Dixon, and others.
Total disaster. Remember, Hunter Ray did a 6.2 to that 11-second stop for Takuma. So how many positions will he lose once the cycle is fully complete? That's Pato Award right on the back of Sato.
He had what, about 2.5, 3 seconds over Graham Rahal, his teammate. So as we work lap 18 of 90 here at Barber Motorsports Park. Take a look at this.
Little issue on the left rear. He hasn't got it on. He's late with the lug nut, which has forced him back to Pato Award. And Pato Award is no slouch. He will dive it in here. Sato's tire's not up to temp, so right here he might get a run.
All right, here we go. Graham Rahal, Scott Dixon. Dixon pretty hot under the collar about the way that he was raced by Graham Rahal early. Race control said no further action, let's just get on with it. So the guys who were effectively first and second in their boxes.
And this is not routine for Graham Rahal. They have a throttle issue, so they've plugged in here. So he was set to potentially take over the lead after the slow stop by Takuma Sato, and you can see them back in the background of the one Cure car. Rahal is going to have a long stop because of a throttle sensor issue, so they're plugged in. So a disastrous couple of moments, not total disaster for Sato, but certainly cost him track position. Now Rahal is back out. We'll wait and find out if they address the issue, and he's running full steam again.
And there is the blend out with Takuma Sato. You see Scott Dixon right there, so Sato luckily able to stay ahead of Dixon, but as you said, Kevin, in one lap, Rahal's front row, excellent qualifying performance, effectively negated by a few issues on pit lane.
Let's talk more about Scott Dixon, Marty.
Well, what we're seeing here, Lee, is the guys committing to 3 stops like Scott Dixon and others that are staying out that might be thinking 2 stops. Like Kevin mentioned a moment ago, Scott Dixon came in, wanted no changes to his car, sticker primary tires for him. They started on sticker red, so they are now in a position with the 9 car of Scott Dixon to go primary tires for the rest of the day. Graham Rahal came in a moment ago. Kevin talked about that issue. Here's what he said on the radio about it.
There's nothing I can do, guys. I'm going to crash, which is fine. Problem is there's nothing we can do other than plug in and download. It'll take a while. You guys think it's funny there. It's not funny in here.
Oh, absolute frustration for a man who started on the front row today, Lee. An issue for Graham Rahal early.
Oh, so frustrating, so frustrating. Now he's buried back, having to fight out as James Hinchcliffe comes out nicely. He's had a fairly calm, quiet race. Scott Dixon is just a little further up the road there, up over the turn 4 hill.
Guess who's leading? Alexander Rossi in that Andretti car. And he's on black still, so he might be going for a two-stopper along with Bourdais. He's got the pace. He made some moves at the beginning. We hadn't shown him yet, but he's pitting now. We just heard that.
That means your two-stop is out the window. You've got to get much deeper, I think, to make it on two, unless there was an absurd amount of yellow. So here comes Rossi.
Hustling in. We're going to see where he slides out. I think he's going to slide out in about third.
You're going to do about another 10 or 11 laps to make this a two-stopper, so
I think he's going to come out, Paul, right around Power Newgard. It's about 25 seconds on pit lane. You can see the gap on your left-hand side. Marty, Rossi's coming to you.
Yeah, and guys, talking to Rob Edwards and Alexander Rossi before the race, they consider two stops, but you know what? Tire degradation is huge. These tires just fall off this racetrack. Very abrasive. This racetrack scheduled to be repaved after this race, and the tire degradation really hinders you if you want to do a two-stop strategy. A nice stop for the 27 bunch, Kelly.
There's Power.
Newgarden in the black car.
Newgarden on hot tires on reds. Rossi on cold reds, really struggling for grip. Newgarden's going to have a run here.
Newgarden got really loose in turn two as Rob Edwards tell Rossi to use push to pass to defend. If Rossi can get tire temperature in this next two corners, it's going to be very difficult for Newgarden.
We'll see where he goes through this fast chicane and drops down the hill. The front tires won't be up, so he will understeer as he pounds the curbs right there. A little bit of push.
Drivers yet to pit: Sebastian Bourdais, Spencer Pigot, Jack Harvey, and one other in Ben Hanley. So only 4 cars out there yet to pit.
And the question is, can they go far enough to get to near, say, lap 28, 29? Because you got to factor in the 2 pace laps. Can they get that far to make it a two-stop strategy? I'm watching Bourdais' pace. His last lap, a minute 13. A lot of these cars that have pitted, like Newgarden Power, they're down at 1:11 pace, so almost 2 seconds faster.
Looks like stick of reds are good for about 20 laps. We're going to need all of them.
Good information coming from Rob Edwards, one of the best in the business at communicating with his drivers.
If you get by him, then we just go in fuel mode. Whether it's drive or what you have.
Big oversteer correction at the bottom of the hill. It stepped out. He nearly got it off the track.
I got to think his tire pressure is just not quite up enough. They're running that car pretty low, so on low pressures in a high-speed corner like that with all the downforce, you're fully compressed, and the center of the car can actually bottom on the skid plate.
So up front, Sebastian Bourdais has a 6.5-second lead over Spencer Pigot. And then, as we drift back a little bit, to within the top 5, Takuma Sato there, the blue and white and black car, the MyJack entry for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, and then Scott Dixon doing the chasing. So that was a good recovery from that slow pit stop for Takuma Sato. How about his teammate, Graham Rahal? He's way down in 16th.
This is Sato and Scott Dixon. Very close blend there. That's probably less than 1/10 of a second that Dixon came out behind. And I got to say, one of the things I find fascinating right now is we see Pagenaud.
Oh, that's not good for Pagenaud.
Contact with Ben Hanley. And I don't know that Hanley knew Pagenaud was there, or if Pagenaud figured Hanley would just back off more, but it looked like Pagenaud was looking way through the corner. Luckily, the right front looks okay as Ben Hanley comes to pit lane.
So with Hanley pitting, that just leaves Jack Harvey, who Scott Dixon whips on by, Spencer Pigot, Sebastian Bourdais, and there's one more who has yet to pit, and sorry, pardon, just the 3 left now, those top 3.
Well, you can see how easy it was for Dixon to get past Harvey, but what's fascinating is that Bourdais is on reds, and those are used reds to start the race, and I think, or Pigot also on reds, so they're going well into the tire stint, but I'm watching the lap times, they are still slow. There's Bourdais. Let's watch him for a few corners and see how much he might be struggling to hang on to the thing.
It's 11.5 seconds between this man and Takuma Sato. That's come down now to about 11, Kelly.
Yeah, and Sebastian Bourdais actually started on scuffed red, so he's going to have sticker blacks probably this next stint and then finish on some sticker reds. He said he's really struggling with the left rear on this car. He had some tires that had 25 laps on them in practice this morning and said it was pretty diabolical, so he's just hanging on, but should be coming in, I'd say, in about another 5 laps or so for Bourdais.
Paul, if he can hang on for 5 laps or even 3 laps, he's going to be able to do this in 2 stops. Even if he can't, he's gone far enough to give himself the option and open up the window to make it a two-stop race, I think. So really good strategy from that 18 team, Craig Hampson, the engineer, giving themselves the flexibility to pull off a win.
And as the sun bathes this Alabama track, we've gone green the whole way, no cautions. And Sebastian Bourdais leads the way. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. And by NTT, an official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT INDYCAR Series. It's been a wonderful weekend here in Birmingham, Alabama. IndyCar is always welcomed back to this place, and Will Power, who was a lot higher up the track, he was fighting his other teammate. Now he has contact with Simon Pagenaud, his second teammate.
Guys, it's so bad, man. I can hardly hang on. How many laps?
There's your answer. Power has his hands full. Tires are gone. And this is what happened just moments ago. Turn 16.
Whoa. Whoop. Oh, he spun all the way around, and that's why he was all the way back to Pagenaud. He's lucky he didn't get in the gravel trap, Townsend, and get stuck
for sure
in there.
And for Will Power, there's Roger Penske saying pit this time. Will Power's burned well more than half of his push to pass for the whole race. He only has 79 seconds left. We're not even a third of a way through this race, so going to be a long day for Power.
And you know what he told me earlier today? Just after qualifying yesterday, is the view from Ryan Hunter-Reay's DHL in-car camera. He told me that, he said, I was gassed yesterday after qualifying. My arms were had it. He said, I was exhausted because I was hanging on so hard, Marty.
And you heard Will Power talk about how he could barely hang on. That seems to be a constant theme from all the drivers in the field. We talked about tire degradation, a very physical racetrack. Will Power goes with scuffed primary tires and leaves in a fury. They scuffed 2 sets of primary tires in warm-up this morning. Will Power back out on the racetrack.
Look at this, Felix Rosenqvist and Pato Award, 2 of the star rookie field this year. A lot of the more experienced and veteran drivers have commented that this may be the best rookie field IndyCar has seen in a long, long time.
Oh, it's been terrific, and it'll be great the balance of the year. And there's Sebastian Bourdais to pits, Kelly.
And as I said, he's now going to be going to those sticker black tires. They're going to make a small front wing adjustment, also an air pressure adjustment for Sebastian Bourdais. They said, look, our strategy is either going to be hero or zero, going for a 2-stop strategy here.
That was a little bit of a long stop. It took him a little bit to get away. We see Piggott right here go into blacks. Nice clean stop.
So now the full field has finally made at least 1 stop.
I think things are looking very good for Sebastian Bourdais. Critically, he made it to lap 29. So I think he can do it on 1 more stop. He got the fuel mileage, and he made the Reds work better than anybody. Here comes Pato Award.
You know that he's not afraid to pass in difficult positions. We saw that at Circuit of the Americas when he went around the outside of Graham Rahal. He goes around the outside of Felix Rosenqvist at turn 5. Wow.
That was a nice pass. Rosenqvist blocked the inside, and Pato was going to slide it down the inside, then change directions, kind of head faked him, and then deep braking on the outside and just carried it the speed right around the outside of the corner.
Just want to correct one thing that I said. The whole field is pitted. My apologies. That car there, the Auto Nation Sirius XM car, the pink and black one of Jack Harvey, the British driver, yet to pit. So
certainly he's going to come this lap. There he is, lap 30. Goes 1 more lap than Bourdais, but much further behind Bourdais on the racetrack, about 20 seconds back of what Bourdais pulled off. Pato Award, yeah. I mean, what a move. That guy likes to go rodeo style everywhere. He did it on Graham Rahal. I think I'm going to call him the Gaucho, the Mexican cowboy. Likes running the high line, Paul.
I like that. I like that.
3rd of the way through. Boy, this has been a frantic opening stanza of the race, hasn't it? So much going on. And Joseph Newgarden has had a brilliant performance, considering he started 16th and now runs in the top 5. He's been out there for a long time, though, on this set of tires. It's been 21 laps since his last stop. So we'll be seeing Newgarden back in, maybe within the next 10 laps. We'll see.
Penske's are struggling. We got Ryan Hunter-Reay right on the back now of Newgarden. He was a little bit further back when Will Power was having his issues. but he's closed down the gap to him now. Penske's are really struggling this weekend.
You're right aboard Captain America's car, a two-time winner here, Ryan Hunter-Reay, back-to-back 2013, 2014, and would dearly love to do it again to get his championship campaign back where he would prefer it to be, because he's in a tie for 8th with James Hinchcliffe coming into this race. So he had that mechanical incident, Pete, to start the year.
So this is, just going to say, this is the gap that we'll be watching here. Bourdais on a two-stopper. The other guy's on a three-stopper. So 29 seconds Sato has. He's going to make an extra pit stop to Bourdais. It takes about 26, 27 seconds to make a stop. So we'll be keeping our eye on that gap, assuming there's no yellows.
And that final driver and car to pit, Jack Harvey for Meyershank Racing, unfortunately has just been handed a penalty for speeding on pit lane. There is Jack serving that.
And that's tough. He did everything he needed to do to make the two-stop work. Very difficult, especially for a young driver without as much experience as Bourdais. And Paul, that's brutal to have to take the pit stop penalty, especially since it's been all green flag running so far.
Especially with as long as the pit lane is here. It's about a 30-second delta to get down the pit lane as we look at Hunter-Reay now closing up on the back. The delta is the time that you run down the pit lane, your time lost down the pit lane. So he's lost 30 seconds of what he made up. He was running nice in the top 5, so that's really going to hurt him.
Somebody not running nicely in the top 5 was the Circuit of the Americas race winner, Colton Herta. Marty, have you heard anything lately on the radio as to his ailments?
Just went a lap down a moment ago, Lee, and what they think it is actually a fuel pickup issue, not an engine issue for Colton Herta. That's why it's affecting him in every gear. So look at the side-by-side battle there. Ryan Hunter-Reay getting around Joseph Newgarden. Nice move for RHR. But Townsend, what they're trying to do with the fuel pickup issue for Colton Herta is game the system, if you will. They're trying to change fuel maps every time they try and find something a little bit different. So maybe those fuel maps will help him a little bit, but it's a fuel pickup issue for the 88 who's going to come down pit road.
It sounds very
sick, and they have had engine trouble this year. Listen to this thing.
You can hear it sputtering, misfiring.
What a shame, and what a contrast from that amazing high in Texas 2 weeks ago to here. And he has been quick. He's shown good speed this weekend.
We're going to put tires on it, and we're going to drop you down. Do not leave. We're going to push you around the corner and try and fix the problem in the cell.
Further back, you see Joseph Newgarden's guys
shut it off in here,
faking like they were going to stop. They put their tires out and then brought them back in, Marty.
And you hear him with the engine shut off. You heard Brian Barnhart a moment ago. They're going to push him around the corner, and they're going to try and fix this fuel cell issue again. A fuel pickup problem for the winner at COTA a couple of weeks ago. Colton Herta, 19 years old. They're pushing him behind the wall, hoping they can get him back out and get this fuel pickup issue reset, Kevin.
Joseph Newgarden, we saw him pass by Ryan Hunter-Reay a moment ago. Just before that, he had said, I'm down to the cords. The tires are gone. So they're laid out for him. Newgarden is set to come in just a moment.
His tires are down to the cords, and Bourdais went full stint on him, no issue. So how is that working? That shows you how off the Penske guys are this weekend with their setup. And Bourdais was running decent times.
Well, Bourdais came in on lap 29, right? 28, 29. Joseph has done 24 laps.
But here's the surprise for me: as Newgarden comes to pit lane, his teammate Will Power started on reds and then stayed on reds, which is a real surprise because it totally fell apart for Power trying to make the reds work. So Kevin, here comes Newgarden finally. I gotta think they're going to blacks.
You are right, and like Marty mentioned, his Penske teammates were scuffing blacks. It's the same for the primary Firestones, and it's worked so far in the strategy, coming in early for Joseph Newgarden. A little bit longer to get the car jacked up, but he started 16th, cycled up to the top 5. Still a very solid stop for Joseph Newgarden, Team Penske.
Pagenaud and Bourdais. Bourdais just made a move. He's 30 seconds behind Sato, so he's got to kind of reel that back in, Townsend, if he's going to keep the lead on the cycle. He can't let that get out to 35 seconds or so.
This is the problem with the two-stopper, is that for Sebastian Bourdais, he's in traffic. He's kind of stuck in there. Very difficult to make a pass, and if you're up front like Sato or Dixon, you've got clean air to make the pace work. And Sato's team will be giving the information to him on lap time, looking at Sebastian Bourdais. Like you said, Paul, 31-second delta, that difference. And so far, Sato doing what he needs to do to stay out front with an alternate strategy.
Is Pato O'Ward working on Simon Pagenaud as Marcus Erickson hits pit road. Keep your eye in the back of the picture here. Watch O'Ward and Pagenaud. Look how far O'Ward has left Rosenquist behind.
Well, he's going to make a move right here on Pagenaud. Gets a little bit of clean air on the front wing, and he's right there, tucked up behind the back. So that was a nice apex. And will he go high or will he go low?
Going low after a big wiggle, exiting the last corner. Pagenaud leaves him room, and Pato O'Ward saying adios, but maybe not. Here comes Pagenaud back.
This is going to be hard. We've tried this before with Rahal, and it didn't work, but he pulled it off that time.
Good driving from both.
He's got another run right here. He's back to the power. Pato O'Ward, little sideways off the corner, but if he can stay right here through the kink and make the dive.
Pagenaud has used an enormous amount of his allocated 200 seconds of push to pass. Pato O'Ward has not. He's got a lot more in reserve.
That adios was promptly greeted with a bonjour.
So Takuma Sato 6 seconds out in front of Scott Dixon, Hinchcliffe, and then Pagenaud to pit lane. Then Alexander Rossi, Sebastian Bourdais now into the top 5. Ryan Hunter-Ray at the head of the queue, Marty.
You see him coming down pit road. Ray Gosselin said, I want you on your marks. We have to have a good, clean stop here. They have struggled on red tires all weekend, but at the very end of the run, they were going to come a lap earlier. And he said, you know what? I think these reds actually are not bad. You see a very busy pit road. Felix Rosenquist on pit road as Simon Pagenaud leads as well. So pit stops all over the board today, Lee.
So there goes Pagenaud. Further back, Ferrucci.
Use your overtake.
There it is. Newgarden and Lace battling out, and there's Erickson. So that blend out, critical. Hot tires and cold tires. We saw it on the last cycle.
Not going to go through there, 2 abreast, but he does it from the outside. What a pass.
Next one on his list is his Team Penske teammate, Will Power, who's been out there on this set of tires for some 7 or 8 laps longer. See what progress Joseph Newgarden can make as we edge closer and closer to the halfway point of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Takuma Sato, who leads by just over 6.5 seconds over Scott Dixon. We hear that his Rahal Letterman Lanigan crew are ready to see him down pit road one more time. What a great run. This kind of reminds me of Portland a little bit. Got to be good on your fuel strategy, and he was out front, and he enjoyed that time out front. And
I'm a little surprised, though, Lee. He only did about 20 laps on blacks there, so thought he might go a little farther.
Key here will be to see what Dixon does in response. Dixon stays out.
Dixon rolls by on track. Sato in the leader, so he had that slower stop on the first stop, but he was still leading the race. This one is about 4 seconds faster than stop number 1, and you can hear the crew as Sato rolls back out. He's the first of the leaders to come in, so we'll see how this plays out.
Well, we're going to see where Bourdais ends up. Bourdais is way back there, so that didn't pan out for him. He had good enough pace to make that gap.
See, it's not all disagreements between you two. You both had the same words there. Takuma Sato, what a day. So mirroring what Takuma Sato did, Scott Dixon followed suit, came in on the following lap, was not able to beat Takuma Sato out because Sato came in with a 6.5 second advantage over Scott Dixon. But what did happen, PT, was your old sparring partner, Sebastian Bourdais, was able to leapfrog Dixon.
Yeah, he's sitting effectively second on the road right now. Rossi is not pitted yet. We're waiting for him. Graham Rahal had issues. He's way behind, but here comes Rossi now. And
And here he comes down pit road from the lead. Rob Edwards saying we're only going to need 4 or 5 seconds of fuel here. So what that means is they're probably going to run a short stint here and then come in for their final stop of the day. I kind of wondered for a moment if they were going to jump to the other strategy here and go to 2 stops, but obviously Alexander Rossi getting those red tires off, getting the sticker primary tires on, and so far he can't get the car in gear, it seemed like, but he leaves pit road and a nice stop.
There goes Hinch.
Goes by.
Yeah, Hinch goes by, Hanley goes by, so Rossi's all by himself. No challenge on the outlap, no fight, so he can concentrate on a good outlap and buckle down and put in some fast lap times because he's not fighting anybody now. So this is a good place to be in, Townsend.
Yeah, Rob Edwards did a great job to find space, assuming he can get past Ben Hanley without much drama. And it's tough around here because all these high-speed corners, you get within, 8 car lengths, 7 car lengths, you get a lot of disturbed air. And even though you're faster, sometimes it'll be hard to make hay or make ground up. And you can burn your tires up that way. And that's Hinchcliffe battling with, is that Spencer?
No, it's Erickson.
Pickett?
It's Marcus
Erickson.
One more there, one more out in front of you.
And Erickson has been on a tear. He has been pulling off some pretty forceful moves, particularly in the turn 5 hairpin. He roughed up and scuffed up Will Power pretty effectively and several others, and has been on a mission in that Arrow Honda.
Has to be so refreshing for Erickson to come to a series where he's battling legitimately for positions in the top 5, the top 10 after so many years in F1, Marty.
Guys, you saw Scott Dixon in non-stop coverage pit a moment ago. He came in, they took a turn of front wing in for Scott Dixon and went with sticker primary tires out in third. Again, they're on the 3-stop strategy here along with Takuma Sato, Sebastian Bourdais. In front of them is on a 2-stopper. So the strategy is a little bit of everywhere, Kevin, but Scott Dixon feeling pretty good about his car right now.
And Scott Dixon is the target for James Hinchcliffe right behind him. That's who he's racing right now. Hinchcliffe was just reminded that ahead of Dixon, that's Bourdais. He's on a different strategy, so assuming that Dixon gets by him, you need to keep pace with Dixon, and you need to work to get past those that are trying to save fuel right now. James Hinchcliffe has also not been feeling great the last week. First, he was sick for almost a week, lost 5 pounds, started feeling better on Wednesday, then Thursday morning, woke up with a sore neck. It's impacted him a bit all this weekend. He said, I don't think it'll really do too much to me detrimentally in the race car, other than I'm going to be really sore when this is done.
Yeah, the sore neck really comes from the fact of just being dehydrated, Townsend. When you're dehydrated and sick, your muscles get tight, they cramp up, so hard to get that back unless you can really hydrate throughout the weekend.
And you'll really feel it in the second half of this race. It's one thing to kind of survive and make it work through practice and qualifying, but Hinch will feel it in the second half of the race as Rahal working on Pagenaud. Almost looked like Pagenaud was going for pit lane, but that shows you how much Pagenaud's trying to square off the exits and preserve his rear tires.
This is the fight for 12th at the moment. Graham Rahal runs 13th. Sato with a 7-second advantage over Sebastian Bourdais, and then Scott Dixon, Hinchcliffe, Rossi in the top 5, teammate Hunter Ray, then Erickson in 7th.
Just want to pick up on one thing here. Yes, Bourdais is on a 2-stopper and Dixon's a 3-stopper. Both cars need to make one more stop. This is a battle for position. This is a battle for the podium. And Bourdais, by virtue of being a 2-stopper, has more laps on his tires. That's really the only difference. And he needs to make sure that he stretches his fuel enough to make it work. But this right here is very difficult, what Bourdais is trying to do, and Scott Dixon knows he needs to pressure him.
And this is a huge advantage for Sato because he's only got one more stop, and he's just pulling away from Bourdais on fresher tires.
Well, let's hear from Dale Coyne. He's a master at strategy and doing the long fuel run, right, Kel?
Exactly. He's the one making the calls out there for Sebastian Bourdais, who started 5th, running 2nd now, Dale. So how do you like the call that you've made to make this a 2-stop race?
Well, we needed a lucky yellow. We had about a 15% chance of hitting that. We missed it, but we still could use it. But we'll let the guys upstairs see if they can figure out when we need it. But we're committed to a 2-stop now, and it's good. We do need a yellow.
Well, what did you see in your car, and what do you know about this driver to give you the confidence to even go for it?
He can stretch a set of tires, and that's what you need here. I mean, these guys all chickened out and came in to do a 3-stop race when the fuel numbers say you can do it in 2, but the tire degradation is so great. It stays green all day, it does not play in our favor, so we could use a yellow.
Right, no doubts. Sebastian Bourdais is going to have his hands full on those older tires up there.
Yeah, didn't quite hit that 30 lap mark, came in a little shy of that, and kind of flashes of last year where Joseph Newgarden drove to victory lane, but Sebastian Bourdais in changeable conditions was right in the mix and stretched things yet again.
Well, they were trying to stretch him for a different situation. Bourdais was trying to hang on slick tires as the rain fell. Newgarden pitted early for the wet weather tires. It turned out to be the right strategy. And Paul, right now for Bourdais, it must be like driving in the rain as he's trying to stretch these Firestones longer than just about anybody in this race.
Well, not only that, not only has he got to make the tires last, he's also got to save fuel, because you heard Dale say we need a yellow. We're not going to make enough fuel. So he's having to drive to a fuel number and also save the tires, Marty.
And guys, for the winner 2 weeks ago at COTA, Colton Herta, it looks like it's the end of the day. They're still trying to diagnose the issue. Let's talk to Brian Barnhart. Have you figured out what the issue is yet, Brian?
No, unfortunately we haven't. We got into the fuel cell. We've lost fuel pressure to the engine, but we can't identify why yet. Looked inside, all the lines are connected and tight, so we're going to try and start changing out some components. Biggest thing we're looking to do now is make sure we have the thing fixed before we go to Long Beach.
Is the day done for Colton at this point?
Well, we'll probably make a lap or two just to, again, make sure that it's fixed if we can identify it and go back out, but obviously we'll be smart about it.
So they're going to put on some new components on the car and try and see if they can diagnose what it is and make a lap to see if it's ready for Long Beach, but just so frustrating for the winner 2 weeks ago in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, he'll drop out of second in the championship points, which will hurt quite a bit. And remember that just next weekend is the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
I wonder if Dixon has burned up his tires a little bit, Paul, because he's not as close to Bourdais as he was. And as I said earlier, it's very difficult to try to challenge in the turbulent air. And you can end up damaging your tires as Sato now is caught up to Ed Jones at the back of the field.
And we make our first step into the second half of this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And there is the race summary so far. We welcome those of you who may have been watching the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series race. Pretty interesting result there. Good family day for sure. And stay with us here for the second half of this race that has been dominated by Takuma Sato, the 42-year-old Japanese driver. He's won 3 IndyCar races in his career. He won on the streets of Long Beach. He won the Indianapolis 500, the biggest win of his racing life. And then he won the Grand Prix of Portland last year. So we'll see if he can add the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama to that list. Back to Birmingham after this, as Sato is enjoying time out front. I'll explain this in a moment, but first, there's nothing like playoff hockey. The Stanley Cup playoffs begin April 10th on the networks of NBC. That is Carlin Racing's Max Chilton in Detroit. He went to the Red Wings game. Obviously, if you're a Red Wings fan, you know that sadly they didn't make the Stanley Cup playoffs that begin this Wednesday. And that was Max just doing a little bit of PR work and having some fun in the lead up to the Detroit Grand Prix in the doubleheader right the week after the Indianapolis 500. As we welcome you back to Birmingham, Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park. Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell with you. I want to say hi to everyone in the UK and Ireland watching via Sky Sports F1. Hope you're enjoying it. Here is a British driver in Max Chilton. They're from the ice to the racetrack, and there's lots of individual little battles going on out here. Meanwhile, Takuma Sato continues to lead, and I think you could probably just describe this group here as it has been a tough, rough day. Will Power, Simon Pagenaud, Graham Rahal growing frustrated, trying to get by the Team Penske man.
Graham Rahal has a very fast race car. We know that. He had the issue with the throttle earlier, but you can see his teammate leading comfortably. Graham getting great exits on the power down, but he's got to find out how to make it, figure out how to make it stick, Paul.
The guy who's causing all the problem really is Will Power, is holding up Pagenaud. He's kind of holding up this whole train of cars, so it's kind of stacking everybody up as they come onto the front straightaway here.
My rears are just going a little bit.
Will Power says his rears are gone again.
That's what he said about the Reds. Now he's on blacks with the same issue, and I have a feeling Pato O'Ward might be making a move here on Ferrucci.
Watch this, watch Page. He got a big run. Will Power blocks down the inside, defends the position. He's going to go around the outside, turn in on him.
Good job. Good job. Pagenaud rounds up Power, but Pagenaud is pretty deficient in push to pass. Appropriately mentioned there on the radio, Simon has used a lot of it. You get 200 seconds allocated in the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And
he's got a run here. Look at this. Will Power's blocking again. He had a big run. Rahal off the corner and had nowhere to go. He just came on the radio and said he blocked me.
Will Power is just trying to hang on.
Oh, almost lost it there. Power lost it earlier in the race, and Power goes to pit lane, and there's still 39 laps to go. That's going to make a 4-stopper for Will Power.
Well, he's out of your way now, so we got to think about red or black next 10. It's going to be a long stint. We still have 10 laps to go.
So 10 laps for Rahal to pit. Power bailed off. Tires are cooked. That car is not handling, Marty.
Yeah, Paul, remember Will Power sort of off sequence because of that spin earlier in the race. So you guys are right. This is going to be a 4-stopper for Will Power. He's going to put on sticker red tires, the alternate tire. They are a little bit quicker. I don't think he's going to make up enough time, though, for Power, who's been frustrated behind the wheel.
They're shocked they put the reds on. Maybe they're out of tires of blacks, but going to have to run a sharp stint because he only made it about 10 laps last time, Paul, before he spun.
So just to highlight those drivers deciding and choosing to roll the dice and go for a 2-stopper. We've spoken a lot about Sebastian Bourdais, Spencer Pigot, likewise following suit, and Jack Harvey, who came in, was the last to pit out of the entire field and then was handed a pit lane speeding penalty.
Well, Bourdais gapped Dixon just a little bit. He's got some breathing room now because Dixon was breathing down his neck early in the stint, but he's kind of just held the gap to Sato. Sato hasn't been able to pull away. They're running about the same lap time, a 1:12.5 to a 1:12.7, so they're pretty comparable.
Sato was held up by Ed Jones, who was fighting to stay on the lead lap. I think Sato's around Ed Jones now, but it's going to have to come up on the back end of other traffic. I think Pato Award he just got around, and that's Matthias Lace. So Sebastian Bourdais hoping that these lappers make it difficult for Sato so that they can kind of reel him back in. Bourdais hoping that Sato backs up to him. There's Bourdais exiting the last corner, then Dixon, then Hinchcliffe, and Alexander Rossi quietly stalking in the top 5.
And Rossi out of this lead pack has the youngest tires, if you want to call it that. And then I'll tell you what, somebody I want to give a pat on the back to is Marcus Erickson, the 28-year-old Swedish driver, former F1 driver. He has done a nice job. You remember, he was one of the first to pit very, very early in this race, but he's up there on pretty much an equal strategy with these front-running guys, and in particular, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and there he is in the background. He's loose coming out of there, up over the hill, turn 3, turn 4, and down into the hairpin.
I tell you what, Rossi's looking at a podium. He came out on the last pit stop completely alone and had clear laps, and he's chased down that group that is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So with the moves that he makes when he's got the bit between his teeth, look for him to really push for a podium here.
Hunter-Reay and Erickson, a couple of the biggest movers in this race. Hunter-Reay's done it with a lot of help on pit lane. His pit crew, phenomenal, very quick stops. On board with Hinchcliffe now, who's right on the back of Dixon.
Really felt he should have been on the pole position yesterday. Right here, he had the car off, the right-hand side of the car off, and it cost him maybe a 10th and a half. But in the NTT INDYCAR Series, a 10th and a half is a long way, Kev.
And he has been stalking Scott Dixon for this entire stint. And I mentioned earlier that he was told, you're going to be able to catch Sebastian Bourdais because he's on a different strategy. Well, a few laps ago, they radioed and said he must be on a 3-stop strategy. I think they're really surprised at the pace Sebastian Bourdais has been able to keep up while saving fuel. Marty?
Kevin, this is a fun battle. Scott Dixon sitting in 3rd, Alexander Rossi creeping in 5th position. I think there's a couple of things going on. For number one, for Dixon, he said his car way too free. They think they may have over-adjusted in the last stop. But number 2, they know Bourdais has to pit here coming up in a couple of laps. So they're also sort of saving tires, Townsend, because they know once he pits, you want to charge as hard as you can at the end of this run to put as much gap as you can between you and Bourdais when he comes back out.
Except for the fact that once Bourdais pits in the next few laps, if you stay out, you're in that danger zone.
Well, we saw it at Coda, didn't we? We saw it at Coda.
Having a battle there, coming out of the tires. Bourdais is going to pit at any moment, which is going to open the window.
Bourdais got about 5 laps before he can really pit and make it to the end, and everybody else is going to consider pitting, making their last stop as early as possible.
Remember, he came in on 28. So round about, you know, what's the outer edge of that window you think you can stretch it to?
Remember, the first stint, lap 28, you got to include 2 pace laps, right? So he's probably going to pit, I think, at about lap 58 or 59 and try to go 30, 31, 32 to the finish. We'll find out here shortly.
And we heard Dale Coyne say we would dearly love a yellow. That's going to help us massively, to say the least.
Got to be frustrating for Graham Rahal, Paul, because he knows his car is fast. I mean, Sato is doing such a great job in clean air. Graham trying everything to figure out how to get by Piggott here.
He's struggling with rear grip. And sees loose, trying to get on the power.
He did get by Willpower, though.
I can see Piggott lifting early on the straight, so he's saving fuel to make that 2-stop strategy work. You'll see at the end of the straights, he just breathes off it a little early. Graham catches him a bit.
And I think Scott Dixon's under increasing pressure from James Hinchcliffe in that Arrow Schmidt-Peterson Honda. It's Sato, Bourdais, then this man, the PNC Bank car for Chip Ganassi Racing, and here's Hinchcliffe, and all of a sudden his mirrors are becoming more full of Alexander Rossi. This is a great scrap for the top 3. First full course caution of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, and there are multiple reasons. This is Carlin Racing's Max Chilton in the Gallagher Chevrolet, nose in, pictures speak for themselves. The other reason is Graham Rahal in the One Cure Honda. His problems continue and is stranded on the back straight.
High drama. Something happened with Graham Rahal. He said the dashboard went black and it rolled to a stop in the middle of the straightaway, and then Max Chilton crashes on his own, and then it was the danger zone all over again, but they left the pits open and let everybody get their pit stops done.
Yep, so we won't see the danger zone come into play, and depending on how long this yellow is, you know, some guys might have to save a little bit of fuel, because here we are, lap 58, still 32 to go, and it should be close.
So they gave everybody the opportunity. They kept it green, even though there was some guys in real dangerous positions. Here they all come. They're going to come in right here, and then they gave everybody. There's Will Power coming in.
Whoa, there goes Spencer Piggott. And I think Spencer Piggott will come out in front of everybody once this cycle is through.
Well, Power was none too pleased about that. You saw that gesture, but it was frantic.
High drama. We were unsure during the commercial break what was going to happen, whether all these guys were going to get hung out and caught by the yellow, but they gave everybody the opportunity to get their pit stop in and allow. Look at this back here, the traffic jam in the pit stop.
And that was Takuma Sato. Here he exits in the MyJack car. Here comes Scott Dixon.
And the important thing here is see the yellow, the bright yellow Sealmaster Honda of Sebastian Bourdais. Look right to Dixon. Dixon beats him out. And those guys have been fighting on track for so long. And once all of this front pack got through with pitting, there goes the yellows. So, makes it a fair fight.
Yeah.
It's on for the last third of this race.
There was a lot of well, not a lot of complaints. There was complaints from Will Power and the Penske crew that they didn't give them the opportunity last week to make their pit stop. And they said, well, the pit was blocked with a car in the pit lane that crashed with Rosenquist. So this week they gave these guys the opportunity. Here's Chilton. He's coming to the pit lane and he gets cut off by Tony Kanaan, who's coming in as well and just had nowhere to go, really.
It was a late call by the ABC Supply AJ Foyt team.
Well, they probably heard that there was a car stopped on track.
Yeah.
So they called AJ, said, get in, right? So he just dove over there.
2/3 the way through the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. There's the Ganassi crew. Mike Hull, as their guy, got a shot at winning here for the first time. You've been watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Shell Rotella Gas Truck, the motor oil with the unsurpassed wear protection your truck needs. And by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT INDYCAR Series. Are they beautiful images? There aren't too many racetracks, if any, that look like this around the world. With everything that Mr. George Barber has done for the city of Birmingham and the state of Alabama and the sport of auto racing. So we welcome you back to the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama under yellow for the one and only time in this race. And speaking of Honda, experience the everyday adrenaline boost that comes with driving a Honda Accord with the turbocharged engine, which is of course the official pace car of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. From the gearheads at Honda, a proud sponsor of the NTT INDYCAR Series. As we head to pit road, here's Marty Snyder.
Well, Lee, we saw all of those stops, and how much speedway fuel can you pack in an Indy car? Well, I'll tell you what, the 9 team tried to pack as much as they could. This is the absolute edge of the window. Chatted with Mike Hull a moment ago. I said, can you make it? He said, well, it depends on how many laps of caution we get and how much sweeping they do with the racetrack. But Mike there on the very end, Chip Ganassi, who reminded me his boy Kurt Busch finished second at Bristol today. He said, we don't want another second place finish. We want a win. But all of these teams, Kevin, on the very edge of their fuel window to make it to the end.
And the Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan team is hoping. They just made their final stop for Takuma Sato as well under yellow. They came in as the leader and got out as the leader. The pole sitter who said this one meant a lot to me. Remember, this is the first place that he drove an IndyCar back in 2010 at Barber. He's on the primary blacks to go the rest of the way, and they packed as much speedway fuel as they can. Also, keep an eye on Joseph Newgarden, running 9th. He, though, had a set of sticker reds because he did not advance out of Q1 yesterday, so maybe he can pick up a few more spots and salvage something out of a 16th place starting position. Kelly?
All right, well, we've been documenting Sebastian Bourdais trying to make a two-stopper work. They finally got the caution that they needed, sort of. Anyhow, also telling him we need some big fuel numbers out of you. But the interesting thing, and the team passed this along to Sebastian Bourdais, he is the only driver in the top 8 that will restart on reds, and they are sticker reds for Sebastian Bourdais. So on top of needing some big fuel numbers out of him, he's got to take advantage of those Firestone red tires he's got.
Well, guys, there's only one Chevy in the top 11, and that is Newgarden. The guy who made out on this was Harvey, because remember, he had the drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he pitted at the right time, and he's now gotten his way all the way back up to 8th.
Good work, really good work. Look at the Honda domination, though. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You have to get to Joseph Newgarden in 9th before you find the first Chevrolet.
Rossi wanting Hinchcliffe to pack up here. And there you see it. Push to pass remaining. Look at Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, the problem is you can't use it when you got to save fuel unless this yellow goes a lot further than we anticipate, because these guys are not trying to pack up. Look at how far back Hunter Ray is. They're basically coasting at an idle.
The reason they're so far back, listen to Hunter Ray. Listen to the clutch and coast here. Left hand on the clutch paddle.
Just idling right there, coasting. That's how well these cars roll.
And the reason you have the gap is to stay off the brake pedal. Because if you're using the brakes, you have to use power to get the speed back. Even under yellow, it's a race within the race.
All right, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to sneak away to a quick commercial break so we can have more green flag racing here at Barber Motorsports Park. Back in a moment. You're invited to the most exciting all-day party in sports, the Kentucky Derby, presented by Woodford Reserve, the first Saturday in May. Part of the NBC Sports Championship season, presented by Canada Dry Ginger Ale and Lemonade. You know what else is part of that NBC Sports Championship season is the Indianapolis 500. You'll see it for the first time on NBC Sports. Here's Kevin Lee. Kev, what you got? Who you got?
I found another proud Ball State University alum, David Letterman, a co-owner of Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing. Late call to come here. So far, so good.
Yes, it's hard. You know, it would have been nice to have a 1-2 at the end of this. but it's hard to be disappointed when you qualify 1-2. And irrespective of Graham's problems, I think this says all you need to know going forward for the rest of the season.
We were talking before the race. This reminds you of the old days of IndyCar. This is a spot that people should put on their to-do list.
Oh, this is a beautiful facility. I had not been down here before, but it's this is what racing is. You work hard, you work hard, you work hard, and then you're going to have some fun, and this is fun.
Enjoy the rest of the race and good luck.
Nice chatting with you. Thank you.
And great to see David make the trip down from New York. He was pretty pumped about his team, along with Mike Lanigan and Bobby Rahal, of course, to lock out that front row for the first time in 14 years. And unfortunately, Graham Rahal is out of the race, but his teammate Takuma Sato is not. He is up front where he has been for the majority of this day. He has led 48 laps.
And good news for Takuma Sato. There's a fly in the works there as Matheus Leist sits between Takuma Sato and Scott Dixon as Bobby Rahal looks on, hoping that they get a good clean restart here. So Leist will certainly hold up some of the field from challenging Takuma Sato on this restart.
He's really had the measure of everybody so far today. He's maintained anywhere from a 2 to 7 second gap without really putting himself under any stress. And now with this buffer, this only helps his cause to get a nice clean restart the way he wants to do it and not be under stress from Dixon.
I mentioned about the Speedway lap leaders. Sato with 48 laps led, Bourdais out front for 8 and Alexander Rossi for 3. So lights are off on the Honda Accord pace car, ready to go racing. As the boys said, nice little buffer there for Sato, having Leist in between, a lap down. That'll give him some breathing room to Scott Dixon. Ready to go. Will this be clean? Under caution for some 7 laps. Let's go racing. There's a Honda out in front in the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
A little bit disappointed in Leist not to pull over and let these leaders go by. Now Sato has a nice gap to Leist. Hopefully Leist pulls it over here on the straightaway. It's going to Bourdais trying the outside right there. He might have a run. Lots of push to pass for him, and he does have a run.
Inside, Dixon on Leist.
Oh, Leist making it hard on the 5-time champ. Leist holds him off. Leist is saying, hey, if I can get back on the lead lap and a yellow comes, I've got a chance. Further back, there's a big cluster for me.
Alexander Rossi and James Hinchcliffe. Rossi wins that arm wrestle.
Rossi pushing forward to get a podium. He just got rid of his buddy, James Hinchcliffe right here. He's got a nice little gap now.
It's a dream scenario for Sato. Restart, nice buffer, great race car. A win is right in front of him.
Blue
25
flag.
laps down the road.
Just saw that in the camera. The blue flag is waving for Leist, so he's gotten word. The teams are probably complaining as we see.
Watch Newgarden. He's going to make his move. He did this last year, right up the inside. He surprises Hunter Ray. He's done that so many times here.
That is his signature move here at a track where he has won more times than anybody else. 3 times a winner. His very first IndyCar Series win came here when he was racing for CFH Racing, the trio of Ed Carpenter, Sarah Fisher, and Wink Hardman. And that got him going, and that's what certainly attracted Roger Penske to him.
Here we go again. He backed out of the way and let him go, but cost him a lap, cost Dixon and these guys a lap. They're challenging. Newgarden goes by Hinchcliffe.
Erickson got Hunter Ray there. There's Tony Kanaan, the other ABC car, getting wide. And now Harvey and Veach. This could get ugly coming to the
Oh, look at
corner.
Rahal and Hunter, or
it was Erickson and
Hunter Ray. And he got him.
Erickson is driving like he used to back in GP2, now F2. He is not hanging around for anyone and is very aggressive.
On board with Zach Veach, looking out the back, his teammate Marco Andretti, and these guys just trying to salvage any sort of respectable finish.
Santino Ferrucci there in the chrome car ahead of Ben Hanley, and then Pato O'Ward. Gap up front is 1.3 seconds. O'Ward and Hanley. Hanley hangs tough.
Oh, O'Ward had contact. Hanley's right rear to O'Ward's left front, and now O'Ward has to hold off. Is that Ed Jones or Spencer Piggott? Spencer Piggott, and he's back there because of a penalty for unsafe release on the last round of stops.
Piggott with the bright yellow helmet. O'Ward's got a nice run. coming off the corner on the low side. We'll see where he ends up on the straightaway here. He's diving down the inside right there on Hanley.
Fairly straightforward move. Let's revisit something that Townsend mentioned a little earlier, and that is Scott Dixon is a 5-time champion, because even when things may not be going so well, he can capitalize and come away with great results. Well, how about Joseph Newgarden starting 16th, and now on lap 68 of this 90-lap race is in the top 5. What a remarkable comeback.
But he has to hang on for 22 laps, and those Penske cars have really struggled with rear tire wear, as Marco Andretti will see a replay here. Watch this into the museum corner.
Look at those
Ferrucci.
brakes. Look at the brakes glowing on Santino Ferrucci's car all the way through those chicanes.
Terrific move from Marco outside on the museum section.
This is what it looked like from his teammate. The gain bridge on board, down into museum turn. Santino Ferrucci says, I'm not letting you by. Well, Marco says you don't have a choice. See ya.
Awesome racing and clean racing. That's what we love about IndyCar.
Okay, Dixon shaved a 1/10 of a second off Sato's lead. Bourdais, Alexander Rossi, Joseph Newgarden, James Hinchcliffe, his Arrow Schmidt-Peterson teammate Marcus Erickson, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and then Simon Pagenaud in 9th. Will Power in 10. Talk more about the championship leader, Kev.
Diff, you mentioned the remarkable recovery by Joseph Newgarden. A different look at Fitzgerald USA black and green colors this week. Keep in mind on this stint right here, where he's already picked up 3 spots, he's one of the few that has the alternate red soft compounds and their brand new stickers. So that gives him a better chance being able to make it to the end. He used that to get 3 spots early. What he could really use probably is one more caution, one more restart soon while the tires still have some life. Either way, though, he has salvaged some big-time points today.
Well, he's still got to hang on, and just seeing how badly Will Power struggled to keep the Reds underneath them, I think it's going to be a tall order in about 10 to 15 laps as we get to the end of the race and the end of the stint there for Joseph Newgarden on the softer tire.
Yeah, 20 to go, so it's a long way, a lot of miles, a lot of corners, a lot of high G's, so a lot of tire wear on that Penske car this weekend. They've been struggling to maintain the balance.
But of any of the 3 Team Penske Chevrolets today on race day, it's Joseph's car that has looked the best. So will that ring true all the way to the end of lap 90?
Pagenaud and Power 9th and 10th respectively, but Newgarden has been the better of the 3 of them in the race. Power had all kinds of problems in the spin.
And as they run right now, Newgarden would keep that points lead. Dixon would be 2nd, and Takuma Sato would move his way into 3rd in the championship.
The Chevy driver update gives us a look at the top Chevy drivers in today's race thus far. And we mentioned Joseph Newgarden, of course. And there is Simon Pagenaud, who at the moment is rolling around in 9th place. Simon started the season with a 13th, right, pardon me, a 7th, and then had a rough circuit of the Americas with a 19th place finish, Kel. So today, another top 10 would help.
Yeah, they're really looking to rebound from that. They qualified 14th, but Simon Pagenaud has been really positive all weekend, and even when I checked in with him after the morning warm-up today, he said, no, I think we're really good. It's just the competition is so close that it doesn't really show on the timesheets. And said, in fact, he told me he felt like they had a top 5 car in speed. Now, they haven't quite been able to show that. He's been struggling. We've seen him go wheel to wheel with his teammate Will Power a couple of times, and Simon said he was just hanging on to his car. But right now, as you said, a top 10 finish, they might take it after the first 2 rounds to open up this season.
This has been a pretty good battle the last couple laps. Zach Veach up ahead, Tony Kanaan, one of the youngest drivers in the series on board and one of the most experienced up ahead. And I think Kanaan will make it very difficult for Veach, even though Veach looks a lot quicker right now.
Kanaan ran wide on the restart and got out just a little bit out on the grass and lost a bunch of positions.
And where Kanaan is really struggling is in turn 2 and 3. There you see the biggest movers of the race. Marcus Erickson moving up. Firestone, biggest mover so far, 13 positions. Watch Kanaan here up ahead. Really struggling to get power down, and Veach maybe has a run.
Yeah, nice run there. He had nice inside move. He had clean air on the front wing. A little too far back right there to outbrake Kanaan. Ooh, Kanaan a little bit wide, yeah. A little bit wide of the apex. So is Veach, though, up on the curb.
You know what else is encouraging, PT, is this seems to be somewhat of a calmer race for Zach Veach, considering the amount of off-track he has had this year. He's really pushing the envelope, but this has been a more stable race in the Gainbridge Honda, which is what he needs. Race leader in the MyJack Honda, Takuma Sato, but Dixon is starting to close that gap. What looked like Scott Dixon showing some extra pace and reducing the gap to Takuma Sato has now gone the other way as Sato is extending his lead as we welcome you back to the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Here on your home of motorsports, NBCSN. Here is Taku. Spent some time back in Tokyo, back in Japan between Circuit of the Americas and now. Had some visa requirements and work to get done and then came back. And who lived in Monaco for so long during his Formula One career. And now bounces around between Japan and still spends some time in Monaco and in Indianapolis. And quite the international sportsman.
You know what's cool, Paul,
for a long time.
That Sato, you know, qualified well. Sometimes you can throw in a single flyer, but all day today, Takuma Sato and the Rahal team, and arguably Graham Rahal, showing that they've been maybe the best on pace.
Oh, absolutely. He's been the measure of the field. But Robin, Dixon is a guy that's never won here. And will he? You think he'll go for a win, or will he just be kind of like the boxer that he is? He's going to outpoint you all year and outscore you week by week to get another championship.
Well, PT, when you think about what a good road racer he is and how dominant he's been at Mid-Ohio and Watkins Glen in his life, he's won 22 different racetracks, and not to win at this place, it's got to be getting to him. If he finishes second again, he might have to see a shrink. I don't know, but you just have to think, okay, he's driving as hard as he can. He's another flawless race, but Sato's never made a mistake and has been absolutely on point. So I don't know, Dixon, this is how you win championships. This is why he's a 5-time winner, but I'm sure he's getting a little tired of this second place stuff.
Look at the graphic.
Robin, while we've got you on the line, from all of us, we want to congratulate you on your, I think it's upcoming induction into the Indiana Sports Writers Hall of Fame. Well done, mate, well done.
They ran out of dead people to honor, so they had to give it to somebody. And it was today, so I sent him a video. Thanks, Lee.
Well done. Very proud of you. Marty?
Well, let's chat with the guys making the calls for Scott Dixon. I can tell you the pressure in the seat over Chip Ganassi's arm for Mike Hull doing the math is a lot more than Chip Ganassi has right now, and he's talking about strategy here. And how do you feel about Scott's chances to pull off a win for Ganassi today? I know you finished second in Bristol. You told me you wanted to win here.
You know, it's a good question. You know, we feel good about our prospects, but we don't feel that great about it. Our car's okay, it's just not great. But Scott's the guy to have in it.
I was going to say, his savvy behind the wheel. How much is experience a key today at a place like Barber where there were so many unknowns coming in, Chip?
Experience comes into play in every race we're in. So I'm glad to have an experienced driver up there doing it.
All right, there you go. Chip Ganassi up here hanging out with Mike Hull, Kevin, hoping they can guide Scott Dixon maybe to the win.
Marty, Graham Rahal is hoping Takuma Sato can stay out in front. The Rahal Letterman Landing team has been so strong this weekend, looking at maybe finishing both up at the front. Graham, ultimately, what put you out? You had a throttle sensor problem earlier and then just lost everything.
Yeah, I mean, on about lap 3, the throttle started to stick. And I tried to make it hang on. We did, I don't know, 15 laps that way. Finally, it was going to put me in a gravel trap or something for sure. It was hanging up way too much. You know, and then the car just died, completely shut off. I mean, we had this in qualifying. Luckily, it was on my cool-down lap from the lap I went P2. But these two have to be interconnected. Last night, we changed the throttle pedal. We changed the sensors. We checked all the tuning. I don't know, but it has to be something in the loom. And, you know, it's just a shame. I mean, one cure, this whole team was working awfully hard. We were looking really good. I mean, you know, Takuma and I were running away there at the start. I thought it was our day, man. I thought it was our weekend, and here in St. Pete, getting a flat tire, just, man, come on, you know, some point it's got to change.
Certainly frustrating because it was a potential winning car, but maybe some consolation. The team is fast, and Sato is showing that, and Graham did for a while.
Well, guys, I'm surprised. Back in the day, I mean, when I drove, with the throttle hung up back with a cable-style throttle, there was a sensor on the throttle that if it hung up on full throttle, it would automatically shut the ignition off. So that could have been the problem with that, but I'm surprised it ran that long.
Tough break for Graham Rahal. It's been a tough weekend for many people, including Team Penske's Will Power, the reigning Indy 500 champion. Down in turn 5, the view from Felix Rosenquist's car. Will continue to wrestle that Chevy. A reminder about next weekend, the NTT INDYCAR Series continues here on NBCSN next Sunday for the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Join us then. Coverage begins at 4 o'clock Eastern. Hope you can be with us. It's one of the classic events. And a quick reminder, the day before, we'll have the Papa Burger Sports Car Grand Prix at Long Beach, the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. Take you back to Long Beach 2013, then driving for AJ Foyt in the ABC Supply Chevrolet. This was a really special day for Takuma Sato. This one meant a lot. PT, you know what it's like to win there. Wasn't that your first win?
Yeah, my first win. Long Beach, we're going there next week. And this guy right now, in control all day. Momentum on his side, a previous winner at Long Beach. Looking good. Look at that car looking really good. And he hasn't put a foot wrong anywhere all day. No lockups, no anything.
No big oversteer moments on power down. It just looks like the Rahal team sorted it out here and figured out how to keep the grip underneath the car all the way through the tire stint.
Bourdais is now closing in on the back of Dixon. He's right there, and he's going to get a run.
He had 165 seconds before we went to break, and Bourdais is using the button liberally now.
Down to 128 seconds of the 200 allocated pre-race. So life's got a little more difficult all of a sudden for Scott Dixon, the 5-time champ.
So they've dropped Rossi. Rossi has not been a threat. I thought he had a shot for a podium. He's Mr. Excitement, but Kelly, are they telling him to get after it, go for second?
Yeah, they most certainly are. About a lap ago, the team told Sebastian Bourdais that fuel was no longer a concern, and then they told him exactly how much push to pass he had left to use. And Sebastian Bourdais, at 40 years old, responded, "I know what I'm doing."
He's going to get
he got loose there.
He got a little loose there at the apex. It looked like he carried it in, and just the rear slid away, so he lost a little bit of ground there.
Don't forget Sebastian Bourdais on red tires. Everybody else at the front on blacks, except for Joseph Newgarden there in 5th. And I think Bourdais is probably thinking, maybe I need to attack now rather than at the end.
Yeah.
Because the advantage for the Reds is going to be earlier rather than later.
8 laps to go. Still plenty of time, but he's lost a little bit of ground now. Dixon has stretched it back out on him.
Pretty cool seeing two guys who have 9 IndyCar championships between them go at it for the higher podium spot. And look at that, Dixon's already gapped him, he's responded. Sato's enjoying a 2-second buffer up front, 8 laps to go, not even that, 7 laps to go next time by. And guys, more importantly, the weather has held out so well. Folks, you should have seen the thunderstorms here last night.
You do have a rear bar. I'm out of tires.
Bourdais says he's out of tires. He put on a push there, and we heard on the radio, "I'm out of tires." He's really dropped off the back.
Understood. Dirty air, lost grip.
That's the voice of Craig Hampson, race engineer, strategist, and has been a long-time friend of Sebastian Bourdais. Meanwhile, a little further back in the pack, here's the Gainbridge onboard for Zach Veach. Has not been able to make any ground as far as getting by Tony Kanaan up ahead.
A little bit of moisture still on the lens, some of those weepers down in turn 1. And surprised Kanaan just, it seems like that's his normal line now, Paul, is to run wide a little bit in turn 5. I haven't seen him anywhere near the apex the last 10 or 15 laps.
That's a nice thing about this track, is that the groove is nice and wide. Guys can like run a little bit high or try to hold it tight. It's not a one groove track where if you get offline, you basically skate off the track. It's a great track that way.
There goes Takuma Sato, Scott Dixon, Sebastian Bourdais, Alexander Rossi, championship leader Joseph Newgarden. And here is the first. Arrow, Schmidt-Peterson, Honda of James Hinchcliffe. Behind him is his teammate Marcus Erickson. This is going to be the best team result of the year if Erickson stays here. Marcus had a problem at St. Petersburg, finished 20th. Then at Circuit of the Americas, he was having a promising run and then was assessed a penalty for an unsafe release, and that sent him back down to 15th place. But the Swedish driver, rookie in the NTT INDYCAR Series, is going to get his best result in round 3.
Been a nice run for him, and as I said, refreshing, I think, to actually be able to go race cars and battle for top 10s here in IndyCar. How about this for a shocker? How is Will Power still in 10th place with all of his struggles, a 4-stop situation? That yellow flag must have helped out the 12th car, Marty, because Will Power, while it's been a tough day, it's a big deal to still come home in the top 10 if he can.
Indeed, especially after their mechanical failure at COTA a couple weeks ago. And really, Will Power had the fastest car both at St. Pete and at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and really has no wins to show for it, but has a good attitude about things. There was a miscommunication a moment ago. Roger Penske wanted Will Power to come to pit road under that last caution because very few teams at the back of the pack came to pit road. Roger Penske wanted Will Power to come to pit road thinking that might give him an advantage, fresher tires, and then also fuel to burn and be able to run a little bit quicker. That did not happen. Will Power stayed out, but he's been impressive in hanging on to that spot. We saw how loose he's been, how those rear tires have gone off, but Will Power hanging there in the top 10.
He's going to lose a couple of spots in his championship position if everything remains the same over the last 5 laps. I'll show you a replay on Takuma Sato here.
Outside edge of his tire looked a little dirty, and that's why.
I'm surprised something broke off on the bottom of the car, so he has a little bit of damage, just damaged something on the front wings or the underneath the body of the car.
Maybe
Dixon will have a window of opportunity.
Maybe it's not so easy as we've been thinking it looks for Takuma Sato.
Plus 1.3 back to Dixon.
That is the closest that Dixon has been in a long time. 4 laps to go of this 2.38 mile Barber Motorsports Park. Can Dixon do it, or does he have to swallow that rather uncomfortable pill of being second yet again?
Paul, you often have eyes like an eagle. I want to see this again in slow motion now to see what might have come off Sato's car. Oh, there it is. Piece of the diffuser, as you can look back, flying in the air. There it is right there. And that could be a pretty critical piece of downforce.
Newgarden has gotten by Rossi, so he's made a pass on him. We might have a replay of that, hopefully, but he's steadily been pushing forward, the best of the Penske guys. And here we have a look down in the hairpin, just a nice clean pass. Rossi kind of squeezes him, turns in, locked up.
Was there contact?
Oh.
Yeah, wheel-to-wheel contact. That's for 4th. A forceful move for 4th.
Rare do you see Rossi on the receiving end of that kind of driving. Newgarden forcing his way. It's a lot like what Rossi did at Takuma Sato at Elkhart Lake Road America last year.
He did that Mid-Ohio outside-inside deal like he does there, that patented move. He's got head-faked Rossi, and then Rossi turned in on him, and they made contact wheel-to-wheel. But now we go back to Sato. He's got some damage in the rear. He's lost something from the bottom of the car, but he's still fast and turned a good lap.
1.5 seconds. Sato to Dixon. 2.5 laps remaining, Kev.
And no fuel concerns. Derek Davidson just told Takuma Sato you can use overtake, so that's why he's turning it up a little bit. Let's think about where this team has come in the last year. Remember, Graham Rahal was competing for championships for 3 years. Last year was a struggle for him in 8th. Sato's first year with the team, he said it was really rough for a little while, but it was the second half of the season when they started to get things headed in the right direction. Remember, he won at Portland at the end of the year, although that did involve some fortuitous luck with fuel strategy. But think about this moving forward. Coming into the weekend, they felt like their street course package was really strong. Still working on the road course package. They obviously found something this weekend.
I just can't believe that.
2 laps to go, plus 1.8 back to Dixon. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Can't believe that Scott Dixon is facing another second place finish. It will be the 6th time 6th time from 10 races here, and add to that 2 third places.
But listen, if that's what it takes to win your 6th championship,
yeah,
so be it. Scott
it.
Dixon will gladly take the big crown at the end of the season when we get to Laguna Seca than worrying about a win at Barber early on.
Sato on the blacks. I didn't really get a chance to see what Dixon is on, but Bourdais on red, so we're seeing kind of a battle of the softer versus the harder tire.
Dixon's on blacks. It's just Bourdais and Newgarden on reds.
Bourdais closed back in again. Now he's putting the pressure on again.
And Bourdais starting to use the push to pass. 90 seconds remaining. Dixon only 18 seconds. So Sebastian Bourdais should be all over the additional boost on this closing lap and a half.
Gave those tires a nice rest, just eased off there for several laps, and then ready to go again.
Coming up to the last corner. High speed corner there. White flag is out. Bourdais got to make something happen at turn 2. This is turn 1. He's got to try to get clean air on the front wing here.
Look at how clever Dixon is, staying as low as possible, disrupt the air for Bourdais. Dixon knows if he can run, take the air away, Bourdais cannot make it happen. Dixon's going to defend here.
He had a run, but not close enough.
But he might get a run on him here.
No.
Drifts wide, that hurt Sebastian Bourdais. Half a lap to go for Takuma Sato.
He's got one more chance as they run down through here into the chicane and then coming onto the back straightaway that has some S's in it. If he stays close here, he might have a shot. He's got to be all over that push to pass.
I don't think it'll happen. Scott Dixon, a master of figuring out how to make it difficult for the driver behind. He does it so subtly.
Takuma Sato will continue this trend. There's a pretty good one. If you get the pole position here at Barber, about 50% of the time you're going to go on and win the race, and that's going to be the case here. It will be his 4th career win and 4 different tracks. What a day for Takuma Sato. He wins for the first time at Barber Motorsports Park. Winning in Portland last year, wins in Barber here in round 3 of the 2019 championship over Scott Dixon and Sebastian Bourdais.
Thank you. The car was superb. Thank you.
The car was superb, he said. And there's Bobby Rahal walking away from the spotter's stand. He'll be delighted with that. Frustrated and disappointed that his son didn't finish the race, but the team car wins. There's Ricardo Nolt, who was on the radio all the while to Takuma Sato. And the team at Rahal Letterman Lanigan, who provided that superb car.
They certainly did. And like Kevin Lee said, I think they found something, Paul. And for a championship that ends at a track like Laguna Seca, an undulating natural terrain road course like Barber, as you can see David Letterman thrilled. I think it's a good sign for Sato and the Rahal team over the course of the season. Not sure why Will Power's backing her in.
I wonder if he ran out of fuel, or he's just...
He was so close on fuel, they told him you're going to have to save fuel all the way to the end here, and I think he didn't make it very much past the finish line, did he, guys? Backing it up down the pit road there, Townsend.
I got a $25,000 fine for doing that at my Indy Lights career, going counter course at the end of a race, so it can get expensive. That was several race directors ago, though.
Well, it was a great day for Honda today. Only 1 Chevy in the top 8, and I'm pretty impressed with Newgarden. Penske's guys were pretty out to lunch all weekend, and he just soldiered it on and brought home a good result.
Almost, though, threw it away. I mean, look at the dirt all over that car.
Do you know what, guys? If you think about where Portland was in the 2018 championship, right towards the end, you add these races here, Sato's won 2 of the last 5 races.
Yep.
To validate Kevin's point about they found something.
Yep.
Making the steps forward that everybody wanted to there. Eddie Jones and Alan McDonald and the rest of the engineering staff, tremendous job to get the MyJack Honda into victory lane. Let's hear from Kelly.
And down here near Victory Lane with team owner David Letterman, I guess that was worth making the trip out for.
Oh my gosh, what a delightful day. What a delightful day yesterday. And then, you know, I'm sorry about Graham. Something went to sleep on him. but Takuma Sato, fantastic afternoon, and I've said this, all you need to know about the rest of the season is qualifying yesterday. So it's delightful. And it's almost my birthday, so that counts.
Well, a nice early birthday present. How about those closing laps? We saw one pretty big moment out of Takuma. What was it like watching those closing laps?
Well, I have a great deal of faith in him, and I didn't think anything was going to go haywire. Of course, I didn't think anything would go haywire with Graham, but that's racing. My confidence was never shaken, honestly.
Well, congratulations. Go enjoy this one.
Thank you very much.
And good to see you at the track, by the way.
Good to be here. Thank you.
It was absolute domination, and aside from that one off-track excursion he had.
Takuma Sato is climbing up atop the MyJack, Panasonic, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, Honda. Poses for the crowd. It was really interesting listening to the radio on the cool-down lap as Sato thanked his team, mentioned everyone by name. As we talked about towards the latter stage of this race, this is a championship contending team for the last few years, but they have upped their game in the last 9 months or so. Graham Rahal is in victory lane with a hug with dad and boss Bobby. Takuma, the #1 salute, moves up 9 places in the championship. 2 good results in a row and a dominating finish today. Now stands 3rd after 3 races. Is when we do start to think about championship points. We're going to watch him celebrate for a moment before we interrupt and let him greet all of the crew guys. And you see David Letterman maybe in victory lane now, and he'll make his way down through his team and also the Honda engineers with the team as well. Win #4 for Takuma Sato, obviously the biggest, the Indianapolis 500. And there's the embrace with one of the bosses, Dave Letterman. That's good. Take care of the people who take care of you. Have you ever had such a dominating day as you did today?
Probably not. Probably not. I have to go back in the Formula 3 days in Junior Formula. This is because of the team. Really, they made a fantastic effort. The car was superb, you know? I mean, red tire, black tire, I didn't have to worry about it. And no, I mean, it's just a full credit to the team. Really, really great.
And we were a little worried about you from your perspective. In the first pit stop, it was a little bit slow. How did you overcome that and make that ground back up to still control the race?
Yeah, it's always happening. It's racing. And the guys obviously had a little bit of problem on left rear, but I think we keeping cool, head down, and we did a great job, so we come back.
Did you see this coming at all? I talked to you throughout the weekend. You knew you're fast. You knew you were good. I didn't get the sense that you thought you might have a dominant car.
No, not this much. No way. Obviously, this morning warm-up helped a lot. Thank you very much for the Graham Rahal, my teammate. We spread the program, and he found a very good setup, and I installed it. So that was because of him.
All right, today is about today, but let's talk big picture. What does this mean for your team moving forward? Have you found some things that are real championship contenders? And by the way, we go to Long Beach next, where you've also won.
I know, I really hope so. Obviously, this weekend might be very special. That the track and condition is really liking for us. Maybe not every weekend we can have it like this, but let's try really hard. And obviously, a big credit to my engineering and number 30 boys did a fantastic job.
Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Takuma Sato, victory lane at Barber Motorsports Park. Marty?
Well, unfortunately for Scott Dixon, as Takuma signs our camera there, Takuma, very nice signature there. You have a collection of second place Firestone hats from Barber now. 6 of them, Scott. And he told the team afterwards, extremely difficult race. Was it tougher trying to catch Sato or keep the 18 behind you?
It was really tough. You know, we had a lot of dig, I think. We started off, we could push really hard and actually be really quick and close the gap. Even on some of those crossovers in the pits, we were able to hone in on both, you know, Graham and Sato early on in the race. But the last 10 laps were just miserable, you know. And on that last run, I just tried to hold a steady gap to Taku. And from there, you know, I've got to thank the team. You know, the PNC Bank guys was very strong on the pits. We were able to jump, you know, Sebastian there. He drove a hell of a race, really long on that first stint. Their car was good on Dag, but yeah, another second. It's good for points, second in points. hopefully we can, try and get a win here one day.
When you see those days developing, is it just championship mode at that point, protect what you had when you were in second?
It was mostly just trying to hold on. That's all I was doing. I think every time he made an attack, I tried to push more, and then the tires just cried more. So yeah, I think as a team, we've got to look at, what we're doing for the longevity of the stints and make sure that we can definitely, clear that up. But all in all, real happy with the team. Great run for Honda, obviously wiping out the, the podium there, which is fantastic in a home race. Try and go for one better next week.
There you go. These are the days championship runs are made of. Second for Scott Dixon, Kevin.
And we found one of the other bosses. We've talked with David Letterman. Mike Lanigan, unfortunately, is not here, but Bobby Rahal is. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm really pleased for Takuma. He drove beautifully. The team did a fabulous job. Pit stops are great. Strategy was great. But, I honestly think that Takuma was in a league of his own. Graham was right there with him, and then he had a stuck throttle issue. And then later on, the car just quit, some electrical issues, which is a shame because, who knows, could have been a 1-2. But nevertheless, for Takuma, for Honda, for our team, all the guys, have been working so hard since the last race last year. This is pretty awesome. At Portland, some people said when Takuma won, oh, he won strategy or he got lucky. There wasn't any luck today. He just drove away.
Well, there may have been a fortuitous caution at Portland, but I think it really started last summer, even before that race. What has changed with your team to get back to where you were a few years ago when Graham was winning races and competing for championships?
We all, first off, the yellow didn't affect the race because all the top guys all pitted at the same time anyway. But I think, last year it was a frustrating year at times, having had such good seasons in 15, 16, 17, and then to really struggle last year, and then over the winter we were dedicated to doing what it took to get back into victory circle and to have it happen so early in the season this year. Obviously, we're excited about the future, and I think we're going to be strong the rest of the year.
No, I was referring to Portland with the yellow. No, today's yellow did not matter. It was a beatdown for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, Bobby Rahal, and Takuma Sato. Diff.
I love seeing that smile. They work so hard, and you get rewarded for that hard work as Takuma and his team celebrate. Proud moment, proud day, and he just keeps adding new circuits to his wins list. But boy, this was a nervous moment. It almost went away from him, but in the end, a comfortable 2.5 second victory over Scott Dixon to win for the first time. That got David Letterman pretty pleased. Worth the trip down from New York. Takuma Sato victorious in a Honda at the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. We've got a long post-race show. Stay with us. Mecum Auto Auctions is coming up from Houston when we are finished, but we're with you right through until the top of the hour. Lots of interviews, lots of information coming up as we get to Kelly Stavas. Kel?
Diff, I've got the whole Bourdais family down here. Seb sitting alongside his daughter Emma, son Alex, his wife, I think got a little bit camera shy. And great result here, a podium finish for you, but man, to make that work on a two-stopper, how challenging was that?
Just about as tough as I can remember a race being, like as far as managing fuel and tires at the same time. And honestly, on lap 18, when the guys started to bail on the two-stop strategy and go to the 3, I was like, I'm done here. Like, we just buried ourselves. And Dale was like, well, you committed yourself now, it's too late. I'm like, well, you got a heck of a lot more faith in me than I have in myself. So, it's stuck for that Honda Steelmaster number 18, and you're really proud of the whole effort in the team because they gave me a great car, and again, they have a lot of faith in me.
Yeah, they do. In fact, Dale Coyne told me that he knew he could pull it off with you behind the wheel because you can make a set of tires last. But talk about the end there. You had a lot of push to pass to use, and you were kind of trying to hunt down Scott Dixon there.
Well, catching him was no problem. I mean, with the push to pass in the lap, I was in his rear wing. But the problem is both times I did, as soon as I got behind him, I started to slip and slide. And, the tires were not that fresh anymore at that point. And, I thought I would have a little bit more grip in store by taking care early. But, no, by the time I got to him, it was over. And tried both times and didn't work out. Scott's a great driver, never makes any mistakes. And, I'm happy with the podium.
Well, last race, I should say, you admittedly kind of lucked your way into a top 5 finish, but you legitimately get one here. And I imagine going to Long Beach, a place where you're a multi-time winner, you've got to be feeling a little bit optimistic about the performance of this team.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're knocking at the door, really. Just kind of, you know, like being top 5, third, this, that, on the places we got the car figured out. And definitely we're the entertainer of the event last year, so hopefully we got that pace. And Alex is not so hot as last year, and maybe we got a shot.
All right, kids, did you good today?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, kid approved over here, Kevin.
Joseph Newgarden started back in the 16th position, salvaged a 4th place out of that. How do you feel about that? It's not 4 wins and 5 tries, but it's about as close to a win as you can get without something weird happening?
Yeah, I think it was about what we could hope for today. Starting 16th, it's as simple as that. You have to start up higher if you want to do better. You know, I'm really proud of everybody. We did what we could this weekend, and honestly started with just not a lot of laps. You know, we talked earlier today, and I told you Friday and Saturday, just we couldn't get many laps because there were so many cautions, so many red flags. Didn't get a rhythm. I just felt like our car was too inconsistent this weekend, and we've been talking about it. We're trying to figure out why that is the case. You know, I think we got it a little bit closer in the race, but it's still not where we need to be. So we've got some work to do on the road courses, but the Fitzgerald car was, it's nice to have those guys back on board. We'd won in 17 and good to get them back this weekend.
Some good battles too, including here with Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I talked to Rossi afterwards. I told him, hey, sorry for shoving you out a little bit more than I wanted to. He just, when we got into the corner, when I had such a good run, he braked deeper than I thought he would, and then I locked the right front, which sent me into him a little bit more than I liked. But he ran me hard, and to be honest, he gave me some racing room. You know, he made it work, at least is what I should say. So he did a nice job. I pushed him a little bit harder than I wanted. I think we could have gotten by him without doing that. But yeah, you know, like I said, I think about the best we could hope for today was a top 5, and we got that. We just got to start up higher if we want to win the race.
I didn't see who did it. I think it was your engineer, Gavin Ward. But what's this over your left shoulder here behind you?
Oh my gosh, it's well, I don't know if I can speak. This is the Chalice of Excellence. People may not know about this.
Is that a political term for that? Are you being polite?
No, that is the
Chalice of Excellence.
It's a respected term for this golden goblet here. It's the Chalice of Excellence. You know, Gavin actually has it this weekend. He was rewarded that today on Sunday. We have this gig where whoever does the best job or whoever has the chalice for the last weekend, they reward someone new with the chalice for what they did the previous weekend. So Gavin got rewarded it because he helps clean all the cars up after the weekend, which the boys were very impressed with. So it's a little fun thing that we do. We get it some airtime. Thank you very much for including it. It has an Instagram. I don't know what it is, but the boys have started an Instagram so you can follow the Chalice of Excellence.
Does it have more followers than us?
I don't know, but it soon will, I think. It's gaining momentum. Most people are interested in it. I don't know much about its history. It has a very dark past, apparently, but it brings a lot of smiles to the crew. So, yeah, we're very proud of it.
I think this might be a feature coming up in May. Joseph Newgarden in the Chalice of Excellence, and he, by the way, remains the championship leader.
Kevin, we're going to have to see if Alexander Rossi and his team have some sort of weekly award on their team. So the part that should put a smile on your face, tied your best ever Barber finish. I know not your favorite racetrack, but talk to me about the battle with Newgarden there. You said you actually weren't mad at his move.
No, not at all. I mean, he had the run, and I knew that he was on the quicker tire for sure. And yeah, he sent it up the inside, so that's fair enough. You know, ultimately, I think we could have finished 4th had I got a little bit of a better exit out of turn 2 and 3, so that's on me, and he capitalized on it, so all good.
When you come to a racetrack that is admittedly not your favorite, to leave here with a top 5, does that give you a little bit of a boost and somewhat in going to Long Beach, a place you've been very good?
I'm just glad we're done with it for another 12 months, man. Yeah, it's not my favorite joint, but I mean, huge effort from the 27 Napa Andretti guys. You know, we fought all weekend, and obviously it hasn't been a strong track for us in the past, so we got through it. Top 5 is fine. And yeah, we'll go to Long Beach, a place we love and a place that we're competitive at, and hopefully we can capitalize there.
Looking forward to next week. How do you feel about the street course program right now at Andretti Autosport? It was obviously very strong last year.
No, I think it's good. I think in St. Pete we had a pretty fundamental issue which we discovered, and then we were pretty much back on pace in COTA. So I look forward to Long Beach. I think we have a great car, and we'll roll off pretty much with what we had last year, and fingers crossed it's all the same.
And what they had last year was good enough for the win. And yes, even a smile from Alexander Rossi as he leads Barber with a top 5.
Continues an amazing run, Marty, 2 of top 10s. Last time he finished outside the top 10 was at Road America last year, but it's not about top 10s for this man, Takuma Sato, the race winner. You know, 2 weeks ago we had an 18-year-old to become the youngest ever winner. Taku is 42, the second oldest in the field. That didn't stop his pace, though. There's something special about racing by the sea.
The fans here in Southern California, they like two things. They like fast cars and they like to party. This has it all.
My goodness, the noises they go past us. The fans like to come to Long Beach to watch this IMSA action. Wow, side by side, so tight there as they head towards the fountain. Taylor versus Taylor. It's to a little sibling rivalry. Cadillac and Corvette win.
Long Beach is our Indy 500 of street racing in North America. Oh, that's tight right there.
Bourdais, what a move!
What a pass! Pagano's gonna win at Long Beach.
James Hinchcliffe will go to victory lane. Yeah, at the Long Beach Grand Prix.
The Long Beach Grand Prix belongs to Alexander Rossi.
Nice one, boys. That was awesome.
We are super excited about next weekend for two reasons. Not only the NTT INDYCAR Series, but we've also got IMSA action as well. But as far as INDYCAR, we'll see you on NBC Sports Gold for practice 1 and 2 and final practice on Saturday, qualifying on NBC SN. That's a pretty regular pattern for this season. And then on Sunday, we'll have the warm-up on NBC Sports Gold, and then the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach from 4 Eastern, and the IMSA WeatherTech Championship races on Saturday afternoon. So, looking forward to a massive weekend out west, as it's time to hear from more of the drivers in today's race.
Well, we all like going to Long Beach. James Hinchcliffe definitely does. A lot of firsts for you at Long Beach. Special place.
Yeah, I mean, first lights pole, first lights win, first IndyCar top 5 IndyCar podium, won there obviously in 17. So it's a place that's always treated me really well, and man, and it's such a cool event. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like going to Long Beach. So we're excited to take what's been a quick race car the last couple weeks and head back out west and see what we can do.
Let's talk about today. It was a tough one to figure going in with different strategies. You were thinking about doing it on 2 stops. What changed your mind?
I think we just saw the pace of the guys that were doing the 3. They were making up a fair amount of time. It was going to be really tight on fuel anyway, so we decided to abandon the 2-stop early in the race, like a lot of guys did. We saw other leaders doing it and kind of had to follow suit. And it was going okay. Honestly, the aero car was pretty fast. Honda power was good. That 3rd stint, we really dialed the car in. We were right on Dixon's gearbox. Bourdais was going to have to do an extra stop. And that yellow just ruined it for us. I mean, it saved Bourdais' race. We really had a good long-run car. We were taking care of our tires really well, which was, still important even with a 3-stopper, it turned out. And with that restart, we weren't up to pace early enough on that stint and lost a couple spots. So, pretty disappointed, to be honest. But if we keep being disappointed with 6th-place finishes, that means we're doing something well as a team. And if we keep qualifying up front and executing on race day the things we can control, then I think we'll be, up there at some point and get our win.
It was a rough week for you leading up. We talked about during the broadcast how you were sick, lost a lot of weight coming in. I'm sure couldn't train. And then you wake up with a sore neck. How are you feeling? How did not being prepared the way you would like impact your race, if at all?
Honestly, I feel better than I thought. I think I feel better now than I have after any race at Barber, and that's just credit to everybody back at PitFit. We in Indianapolis kind of changed up the training this off season, and it's paid wonders. I felt the best I felt after St. Pete, best I felt after Barber, even without really being able to train. So it was tough, man. Yeah, the neck thing. Thursday morning, just woke up, did a stretch. Obviously slept funny, cracked something in my neck, and the right side of my neck's just been in so much pain. And I woke up. I'm like, would you look at this? Of all the tracks, one of the hardest ones on the neck, decided to have that problem. But it lasted okay. It's probably going to hurt pretty bad when it cools down here and we get on the airplane. But it is what it is.
Welcome to the rest of our world. We're getting old. I don't think you're in that category yet, but I get hurt more with things like that than actual activity. So hopefully it goes better for you moving forward.
Thanks very much,
Kelly.
All right, Kev, I've got Hinch's teammate Marcus Erickson, who's also the biggest mover of the race, started 20th, finished 7th, looking very racy out there, making some great passes as well. How much fun did you have kind of carving your way through the field?
It was so much fun out there. Everyone told me before it's a super tough track to pass on and you pretty much cannot pass, but I think I showed the opposite today. So we had a great car again on race day, and I was really happy with my race, the way I executed it. And then, like you said, I managed to pull off some really, really good passes on some good guys out there, so it was fun.
Yeah, you told me you really enjoyed this track, that it reminded you of some tracks back in England that you had raced on. You also said, though, that Barber has some tricks to it. Did you figure some of those out there today?
Yeah, I was starting to get it throughout the race for sure, especially running behind some of the experienced guys like Hinch and Joseph and Ryan Hunter-Reay. So you definitely pick up some tricks because it is a very technical track and it's not easy. So hopefully next year when I come back here, I should be even better.
After the misfortune that you had at St. Pete, the retirement, then you had the penalty at Circuit of the Americas. How good does it feel to actually show what this team is capable of results-wise?
Yeah, I'm super happy for bringing the car home today. And like you said, we were so unlucky in both St. Pete and Kota. St. Pete, we were up for a top 8 when we got the technical issue that we had to retire the car. And then I think on Kota, we were, again, one of the strongest on race day, going from, I think, 18th on the grid to running P5 with 10 laps to go when we got hit with that pit incident penalty, which was super unfortunate. So it's been really frustrating to not being able to, show on the results how strong we've been in the first 2 rounds. So that's why a drive like that today and a result like the one we got today is something we can really build on for the next one or the next coming races.
And there will be a lot of firsts for you this season, your rookie year in IndyCar. How much are you looking forward to the streets of Long Beach next week?
I can't wait, especially after a day like today. You just want to jump in the car straight back tomorrow. So I'm really excited, and already next week we're out again. And also Long Beach, I've had a lot of good things about. Will be another new track for me, like every track on the calendar apart from Kota. So it's going to be a lot of learning this year, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying my time so far.
All right, a great result today for Marcus Erickson. Thank you, Marcus.
Tremendous team result too. 6th for Hinch, 7th for Marcus. Really nice job. How about a little bit of an attaboy and a pat on the back for everybody on the team of the 30 car, the MyJack Honda for Takuma Sato. Well done to all of these individuals who worked so hard to get the win today in Barber. More to come. Stick around.
Monster Energy Supercross visited Nashville for the first time, and it was a wild night in the Music City. First, Marvin Muscan went down, then Joey Savacci and Ken Roxon, all while trying to catch Cooper Webb, who had the lead on the number 2. Eli Tomac caught him and passed him to become the first rider since February 2013 to win the Last Chance qualifier and the main event. It's on to Denver next week.
It's been a thoroughly enjoyable season. Monster Energy Supercross right here on NBCSN. And if you're into 2 wheels, you need to visit the Barber Vintage Museum. It's incredible. On the right there, that's the original wing at 144,000 square feet. To the left, as the camera pans, an additional 85,000 square feet. It is immense, and it is seriously impressive. So if you're heading in this way, in the Birmingham area here in Alabama, definitely make some time to do that, because it is like something you've never seen. Guinness Book of Records for the largest living exhibit for vintage motorcycles. Time to hear from Will Power. Boy, Marty, it was a tough day for the reigning Indy 500 champ.
I tell you, Lee, it will show an 11th place finish for Will Power today, but where do you begin to describe the frustration with this afternoon, Will?
Man, I tell you, I've not felt good after a race since I won at Gateway last year, so seemed to be able to get it done in qualifying. Definitely had I had to hang on all day. The car was very difficult. The rear tires went off, and I think it's because we were pushing so hard when we pitted early, and then I'd take too much out of the tire. But I think 11th was it. Didn't matter what we did. I think that's about where we're going to end up.
Heck of a save, though, when you did spin the car to keep it going and not get caught in the gravel.
Yeah, it was a good bit of a show for the kids there, like a 360 and keep going. Yeah, that was actually good. It actually pointed the right way. I'm like, oh, okay. I made it through that. And then, like, the rear tires were so bad. The rear tires were bad before that, but yeah, that didn't help, but we were heading that way anyway. So good news is we get to race next week, and need to do a better job on all fronts. I need to do a better job as a driver, and see if we can make it up in Long Beach.
You and I have talked on and off camera about the hole you're in, and just seems to happen every year. You put yourself in another position, now losing another 3 spots in the championship standings. How do you dig out of it? You show them before you can do it. How do you do it?
Yeah, I know. It's such a funny thing, right? Like you do everything right on a weekend like I did the first 2 weekends, and you get somewhere like Coda. It's such a massive hit in points, and that should have been a win. Should have been a win or a second. It was Rossi and I fighting it out, and had we not had an issue, it would have been thereabouts, you know, as at least a top 3 finish. So, you know, things like that, very frustrating, but that's the game, and just got to keep going, man, and believing that things will turn around. You know, it does every year for me. You know, the last 4 years have been the same, so we'll keep pushing away.
I'm going to give you an A+ for backing up pit road when you ran out of fuel. That was impressive. A+ on that.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to make it easy on the boys. They didn't have to go so far, but using my mirror to line it up. Yeah, that's about the only good thing I did all day.
Come on. Now, Will Power, 11th for him. And the good thing is he can put a smile on his face. It's been a frustrating start to the season for them, Kevin. Fastest car really in the first 2 races, but 11th today and losing another 3 spots in the championship.
Zach Veach finishes 1 spot behind him in 12th, and he made up the 3rd most spots from the start in this race after beginning in 23rd position. It was well documented through our practice shows on NBC Gold that you're struggling a little bit. How much did a strong and solid race day help the confidence?
Oh, it feels like you get your feet back under you. That's been the main thing. It's just I know that we have the pace to run up front, and we've just been trying too hard and making small mistakes repetitively. So, you know, we just needed to take a breath in the race and get back to kind of that momentum we had last year. And we just settled in, and it felt back to normal. There's just kind of smart, smooth race, and we took advantage of the spots when we could, and we knew what our limitations were. And, yeah, for us to come home 12th feels like, you know, a lot better result since we started in the back.
So I'm watching the big overhead cam at the start of the race, and you had a really good view of Ed Jones just going by everybody at the beginning. What are you thinking when you're seeing him go?
Well, I tried to follow him because, you know, at first I saw him went, and then I was like, okay, it must be green, and then I saw everyone else check up. So it kind of hurt my start because I almost went for the same thing that he did. But, I mean, yeah, if it would have worked, it would have been fantastic.
Nice try.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, that's the thing. These starts are so important. You have to make up as much as you can, and you know, you understand the pressure everyone's under. When the green flag goes, you try to get as many as you can standing still.
All right, thank you, Zach. We'll see you at Long Beach next week.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
12th place finish for Zach Veach of Andretti Autosport.
And that's good to hear him say that it kind of settles you and improves as far as the confidence is concerned. So good championship points there. As the podium celebrations continue, we'll continue our wrap-up